Well, hello again, everybody. This is Harry Carey. I had to use that line.
That's a good one.
I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a Bud man. So, uh, the gist of this is that a few times late overnight, I'll be on the Beer Talk social media, and Michael Komaroff will be there too. And we've talked a little bit of baseball a couple of times. Had some nice conversations overnight. I threw out the idea of just having a hangout. You know, baseball is back up for how long we don't know, but it's good at least to have it for now. And I saw someone say there was a story online that said if baseball was circulatory, it would be pumping beer, and I think that's pretty truthful. They just go hand in hand. Like I said in my little description about the hangout, it's like a good double play combination. So have a beer tonight to drink, just chat a little bit of baseball. And I also have a guest here who came in from the bullpen, Alex the Beer Master. Probably his two best pairings are food and beer. I don't know if he's a baseball fan or not, but he's certainly welcome to hang out with us tonight. And so one thing I found out during our late night baseball chats was that we're both Giants fans. Michael is donning a Giants t-shirt right now, right? The black and orange. And so that sort of piqued my interest right there. You know, living in North Carolina, being a Giants fan, 2,500, 3,000 miles away. But I grew up idolizing Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Orlando Cha-Cha Cepeda, Juan Marichal. I mean, when I was a pitcher in my youth, I modeled my windup after Juan Marichal. And it's hard to get that leg kick, but I had to do it. It took a lot of practice to be able to do that high leg kick and also keep your focus on the home plate. Because the first time I tried that in a game, the ball went to the backstop. And I looked over at the coach in the dugout, and he sort of like he got his hands in his, he's looking down. And I gave him a thumbs up. Like, okay, it's be okay. Well, I'll get it right. I'll settle down. And I think a lot of it was adrenaline too. As it turned out, it went pretty well. But I love the way he had that really high leg kick, which distracted the batters quite a bit. And also gave a lot of leverage and torque for delivering the ball off the mound. But I want to ask Michael here, how did you become a Giants fan?
Well, the Giants originally were in New York as the New York Giants, and admittedly, I was quite young. But of course, most baseball fans remember or have heard about the shot heard around the world in '51, where they were able to defeat the dreaded Dodgers, who were their crosstown rival.
The Giants win the pennant. Win the pennant.
And that was Russ Hodges was the Giant at the time. It's a famous call. And I have some memorabilia up on my wall upstairs that my uncle gave me that he got at a couple of these shows, and I have those two in my wall. But of course, I was young. I was born in '51, so what was I? 5 months, 6 months at the time when that happened. So it's all stuff that I heard from my father, who was a Giant fan, my uncle, who was a Giant fan. And as I grew up in 1958, the Giants moved to Candlestick Park in San Francisco, and the Dodgers went to Los Angeles to a better location, so to speak. Beautiful stadium. Beautiful. I'm not saying San Francisco is not a beautiful city. It's just they went to Candlestick Park and they had just checked it out in the morning. They had not gone there in the afternoon or the evening. It turned out to be a really bad place to play at night because it got really cold and really windy. And you mentioned Willie Mays. It probably cut his home run production drastically because he would hit a lot of stuff right to center field. It would get picked up in the wind and it wouldn't carry. And he was a really good power hitter. It's just the balls carried better straight down to left field. And he wasn't a pull hitter. He was more of a cross the field hitter. Probably one of the best 5-tool players of all time, though. Certainly one, you can bring up others, but Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle, there are others, but Mays had the skills, and he patterned that basket catch, which it's amazing he was able to get into position to make a basket catch most of the time. He didn't do it all the time, but he made it most of the time. He just could line himself up in a way. He was such a great defensive outfielder in center field that he could hit the ball up and catch it. And his arm was one of his best qualities. And I think it was the 54 World Series. He made that great catch over his, where he's running completely the other way. And that was a great catch. But then he turned around and made a perfect throw to third base on a fly, which was amazing.
I mentioned that to you during our chat.
I was aware of that, and
Vic Wertz was at the plate,
and that was the last Giant championship until 2010. So they didn't win. They didn't win any other championships in San Francisco. Now, fortunately, and you have the same thing that I have to live off: 10, 12, and 14, three within 5 years, which was pretty amazing. It's been pretty thin since then, but I guess as a baseball fan, you have to hold on to what you got, and they can't take those away. And they were all championships. We won. We came back in some. We were behind in some, and those were amazing teams that the Giants did have for those years. And it will put the Giant manager Bruce Bochy into the Hall of Fame. I'm sure of it.
In the modern era, to have 3 in a 5-year span is pretty impressive.
It's pretty amazing. And
with the parity and the free agency, difficult to keep a team together in the modern era. And to be able to do that, I think that Bochy, I think the third one cemented his place. It'd be hard to see a 3-time World Series winning manager not be in the Hall of Fame. And being a catcher, catchers tend to make good managers.
True.
When they play, they see the whole field in front of them. Every play develops in front of them. It's true. A very cerebral position. So I think that he was well suited for that and really did a great job.
He also took a Padre team to the World Series, but was not as successful.
84, I believe.
But that was a good Padre team too, if you think back to it. I mean, some good players on that team. Let me interrupt and tell you what I am drinking right now.
Okay.
A Lovebird Lager, a local Long Island brew from Peconic, New York.
Never heard of it.
Called Greenport Harbor. I don't know, Alex, if you can get this in New Jersey or not, but it's
Lovebird. Is it Lovebird Brewing? Lovebird Brewing.
It's Greenport Harbor Brewing, and it's brewed by another company in Peconic, New York, but they distribute the beer, and it has a little, I guess, a Lovebird on the side of the bottle. It's 4.8% alcohol. It's an American lager, and this is what it looks like in the glass. It's pretty standard looking.
That's a very good choice for this. Sessionable. You can drink a few and still remember what the ball game was about. It's a baseball beer. A lager is a baseball beer.
Yep. That's why I chose a lager. Because I have IPAs in the refrigerator, they just don't mix for whatever.
And, you're a baseball fan, so I think the lager was a very good choice. The one I have is the Narragansett lager.
That's a good beer. I've had that before.
They had over a 30-year-old relationship with the Boston Red Sox. They were the beer of the Red Sox, and also for a period of time were the beer of the Boston Braves.
Yeah, because they're from
Boston had a major league. They had a National League and American League franchise.
Yeah, they're from Maine. That's why.
They're from Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, yeah.
Right, Pawtucket right now. Cranston was the location during their heyday of brewing, but like I say, but the Boston Braves moved to Milwaukee in 1953, became the Milwaukee Braves, and when the relationship with Narragansett ended, Schaefer became the beer of the Red Sox. But for about 1944 to 75, they were the beer of the Red Sox. And on the back here is the High Neighbor slogan.
Then why does it still say High Neighbor if they're no longer the Red Sox beer? It don't make any sense then.
Well, no, anybody can be a neighbor and drink against it. That's the point. Kurt Gowdy, a legendary baseball announcer, would say, "Hi, neighbor, have a Gansett."
Oh.
During the broadcast, many will remember him also for his work. He covered Super Bowls, Major League Baseball, a legendary announcer.
The Olympics, too.
Right. 5 point. This one is 5% even ABV and 12 IBUs.
William,
5% is pretty much the cap for these American style lagers, these standard lagers, and the 12 is probably ABV is probably a little bit touch higher than a few of them of this style, but I get this on a regular basis, and I really enjoy it. It's got more flavor than most of the adjunct lagers, quite a bit more flavor actually than some of them, and it is the highest rated lager of its kind on Beer Advocate.
Well, I like it. I've drank it before. You should try the lemon version of it. It's very delicious. There's a lemonade version.
They have a shandy. You're right, Alex. They have a shandy.
You got to try that. It's very tasty. You'll like it. I'm not buying it. Just give it a shot. You'll like it.
But I'll say a little bit about as far as the Giants. Growing up, I had a Willie Mays bat, baseball bat. And like I said, I like the assembly of the team. Like Willie Mays is arguably the best player ever. He's certainly in the Mount Rushmore of it, I think you would say. And Orlando Cepeda, Cha-Cha, and I mentioned about Juan Marichal. And but when I was a child, my mom made me a Giants jersey.
Nice.
This was years before there was MLB merchandising where you could just go out and buy anything you wanted. She was a seamstress, and I gave her a baseball card, and she made me a Giants jersey. And I was so proud of that. That summer, I went to Vacation Bible School wearing that. And I thought I was the hottest thing on earth.
That's great.
Strutting in there with a Giants jersey with a number 24 on the back. I mean, it didn't get much better than that. And that's one of my fondest memories of my mom, that she did that. And one of my neighbors, I had a friend, he lived a block away. He was a Cubs fan. And my mom made him a Cubs jersey.
Nice.
And she put the Bruin on the sleeve, just like the Cub, the little C, and then the Bruin, which took some pretty good handiwork to get that right. But she was an excellent seamstress, could sew, and that's one thing I'll always remember. I gave her the baseball card. I said, "Mom, could you do something with this?" So, and then, but you mentioned, Michael, about a 5-tool player. What we're talking about is someone hit for power, hit for average, run, throw, and field. The 5 tools. Not many players fit in that category. There's some maybe to go 4. Your average player maybe 2 to 3, but Mays could do it all. And
he came from the post Jackie Robinson Alabama scene where he had to go through the minor leagues with discrimination that still went on at that time, where they had to stay in separate hotels from the other players, the white players on their teams. So it was in a different era. And also, in the state that you're in, William, too, North Carolina, whatever minor league teams there, the same kind of discrimination was going on. And
when he made it to the majors, Leo DeRocher took him under his wing, and basically he was like a son.
Right.
Some people say that maybe he was a little bit too sheltered. When he went to San Francisco, a totally different culture, that he had some difficulty transitioning. And he was never embraced by the San Francisco fan base as much as McCovey or some other players.
Because he was not homegrown to them, because he had started in New York with the Giants. But he was on that championship team in '54. He
was. Some people in San Francisco didn't like the fact that people were saying he was better than Joe DiMaggio, who had San Francisco roots. He played for the Seals minor league baseball team and had a 61-game hitting streak one season.
Right, which is still unbreakable.
Wow. And then he goes to majors, has a 56-game streak. So, I mean, that is incredible, just to think that to have a streak that long. And the pressure, if someone even approached anything to nowadays, the pressure of it would just be tremendous. I know back when Pete Rose had a 44 game streak.
Right.
And the media scrutiny was not nearly what it is now.
Right. Now it's even more intense. It's funny now, without fans in the stands because of COVID, and some of these stadiums are pumping in sounds and stuff. It's kind of phony in a way, but I guess you want to have the realism as much as you can. And I've watched games on TV. It's pretty cool to watch, the games. And I have the MLB network, so I could watch it on my computer too. So a lot of times after my wife goes to sleep, I come down here and I watch the game. But like William said, they're 6-9. It's been a pretty not great season. They did split with the Dodgers in the first series,
right?
Too, which I thought was pretty good considering the Dodgers are one of the NL teams that they expect to make it to the World Series. So they're pretty deep.
Baseball is a funny game. Last Wednesday they had a comeback victory with the Padres. Mike Yastrzemski hit 2 home runs, including a game winner in the bottom of the ninth in McCovey Cove on the fly. And you would think, well, that would be like okay, we've got some momentum now. But Earl Weaver says momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Baseball is a funny game.
Well,
it seemed like they went in a tailspin actually after that. So.
Their biggest problem has been they don't have enough starting pitching.
Yeah.
Decent bullpen, but their starting pitching has been really rugged.
Yeah.
And if you give up 2 or 3 runs early in the game, it's very hard to come back. And it's
Weaver. He's one of my favorite managers of all time, Earl Weaver.
We have Cueto, but he's just coming off Tommy John surgery, and he's probably not 100% yet. So you got to give him more time. But he's been okay this year. He hasn't pitched badly, but they just kind of cobbled the rest of the rotation together. Samardzija has not been very good so far. Some of these younger pitchers, I think actually some of the younger pitchers they have are going to turn out to be okay. It's just they need more time. They got this guy Gaussman, who used to be from the Baltimore system. He was with Cincinnati and other teams, but they seem to some of the other pitchers they have seem to just be like journeyman types. And in the league now, journeymen just don't make it. You have to have somebody who can give you 5 innings, and they don't seem to be able to consistently do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the subject of time. They don't have time this year with a 60-game schedule, so you got to be almost treat all these games like playoff games. And I think managers are going to manage accordingly.
Buster Posey, who's our possible Hall of Fame catcher, do you think, William, that he had enough time and did well enough that he could make the Hall of Fame? He does have the 3 championships too, which will work in his favor.
For the catching position, he's got a shot. There haven't been that many great catchers come up in the last 20, 30 years.
That's true.
When you think about it. So, if you grade on the curve, I think he's got a 50-50 chance right now, I would say.
He opted out of the season because he had 2 newborn twins who he figured would be at risk. Just the fact when he came home, he didn't want to take the chance. And look, he's made his money, so it's not like he's not loyal. He just feels that he has to choose his family over baseball for this season. And not having a decent catcher era can hurt your team as well. We have a couple of journeymen who are playing now. They're okay. I mean, it's like I said, William, I didn't expect them to go anywhere, so I'm not super disappointed. 6-9 to me is about where I expected them to be. Fair.
Yeah, if you look on paper, it's not an intimidating lineup. A lot of things would have to fall in place.
I mean, they brought Hunter Pence was brought back for spiritual reasons.
Yeah.
He had a good year with Texas as a DH. They brought him back. But, he doesn't have much gas left in his tank, unfortunately. And they have some good players. I mean, Brandon Belt was with those teams, and Crawford, the shortstop, was with the championship teams. So, but these people are on the last legs of their career. They have contracts, so they're going to be paid well for a couple of more years. But you see that the new general manager is rebuilding. So he's picking up draft choices. He's lining he's trying to build up stock in the farm system, hoping that, the Giants are a couple of years away, I'll be honest. And you're in the Dodgers division, which makes it rough to win the division.
Right, it is. And I think that's one reason that Mookie Betts decided to sign with the Dodgers. They're going to be there. They're going to be competitive every season. He could have probably got more money on the open market.
That's probably true.
But to know that every year, I mean, their farm system's loaded right now.
Yeah, they always have drafted very well.
They're going to be in it every year. So, but I had a little opening about Harry Carey and about the beer and baseball connection. When Harry was announcing for the White Sox, they called him the mayor of Rush Street. Rush Street happened to have a lot of bars and places. It was a sort of a hot spot of activity on the south side of Chicago. And oftentimes he would go out into center field at Comiskey Park, take off his shirt, and announce right with the fans. He says, "I'm just one of you guys." And they installed a bleacher head, a shower head in center field, so the fans could douse themselves off and get a little bit of coolness during the ball games. But he was.
I think he also was an announcer for the Cardinals and is most famous for his time with the Cubs, where he sang at the 7th inning stretch, the famous, "Take me out to the ball game."
His longest tenure was with the Cardinals. And then he went to 1 year with the Oakland A's. I think he got enough of Charlie Finley, didn't like that situation. So then he went to the White Sox for about 11 years. But you're right, his notoriety came to the Cubs because with WGN, the superstation, he became a nationwide figure. He became a cultural icon because everybody, across the country with cable TV and stuff, they could get WGN. So like it was Atlanta Superstation with Ted Turner. So everybody knew who Harry Carey was. And the 7th inning stretch where he would sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." He would bring the microphone down out of the press box, and the crowd would join in. He had a fish net to catch foul balls. He was a homer too, unabashedly. There was no pretense of him about being an objective.
Whichever team he announced for, he was
right.
Bad.
He was no pretense about being objective or a journalist or anything. He was a homer, and a lot of fans like that too because he was cheering for them, along with it. But to have that shower head out in Comiskey Park in center field, and he's out there announcing, no shirt on. I mean, it's like he was not self-conscious. He was just a fan who happened to have the art for being able to get in the booth and announce the games. And his son got into it, Chip.
Right, and he has a grandson who's still an announcer. Right. I think for one of these. So
right in the family. But a lot of these back then. When he was with the White Sox, Falstaff was their beer. He was a Falstaff man then. Then he went to the Cubs. He was back to being a Bud man when he was with Cardinals. But when he started with the Cardinals, that was before they were purchased by the Bush family. So they had the brewery that sponsored the Cardinals at that time was the same one that had Stag beer and Falstaff.
Right.
So he had a lot of different. He pitched beer for different manufacturers over his career. So, but everybody remembers their. When I went to Baltimore to see a game, it was National Natty Boh. That was the beer sold by the vendors. I went to Pittsburgh. It was Iron City beer. I went to Pittsburgh when Barry Bonds was a rookie. Saw them play. And
I remember the beers in New York at the time because the Yankees did Ballantine beer and ale, and the Mets had Rangold as their beer.
Right.
Mel Allen was the Yankee announcer, and he really pushed the Ballantine, and there was some funny jingles. And
when the Yankees hit a home run, it was a Ballantine blast.
Hey, Michael, is that still around, the Ballantine beers?
Yes, but they're made by somebody else. I'm not sure who brews them now, but you can still get, and they have an IPA now also. But you still can get the Ballantine ale, and you still can get a Ballantine, but somebody else brews it. I'm not sure who it is.
But it's still the Yankees beers, though, right?
No, it is no longer the Yankees beer.
That's a shame.
The Yankees have a specific beer at this point.
Oh,
but you were right about the Rheingold. They had associated with the Mets.
Right, but the Yankees probably have different beers that are advertised on their games, but nothing specific. They have not taken one, whatever.
there was a story when the
Wow.
Giants, their last World Series in 2014 was the seventh game by relief appearance by Madison Bumgarner. That'll go down as he's a legend just for that. They won the seventh game. There was a story in Market Watch that was the year that sort of craft beer became popular as a base. That was the time when the macros weren't necessarily going to be the beer of choice for the ball teams. That year, Kansas City Boulevard Brewing was their main sponsor. Because when AB was formed, they became the largest U.S.-owned brewery in the state of Missouri. And then out in San Francisco, you had Anchor Beer. It was very popular. So there was a place for the craft beer to sort of nudge in and get some attention, which is good. Now you'll see different signs. There'll be a Budweiser sign, but you'll also see other signs of breweries.
Alex, when we were on the last time, Bill, William and I discussing this, we were talking about the fact that Madison Bumgarner, this great giant pitcher, probably one of the best pitchers in their history, if you actually think about it, he's another Tar Heel from North Carolina.
Right.
So he's with the Diamondbacks now, and I don't think they're going anywhere either, but he signed the best contract he could get, I guess. And that was
awesome beans.
Yeah. The small town he's from, it was called Bumtown because so many people had the surname Bumgarner. A little town outside of Hickory. And I remember when he played high school baseball, I was a sports writer. I would go to the state playoffs and see these guys. And I remember Madison Bumgarner. And always good, the career he seemed like such an unpretentious guy, just really a good guy.
And he used to cut down trees in the off season and be just like a regular guy when he went back. Even when he signed a friendly contract with the Giants, didn't look to kill them, and it was a lucrative contract, but nothing like he probably could have gotten if he'd been more mercenary.
Right.
And that's how they were able to keep him. And they did not release him last year or trade him. They kept him anyway. They had this brief feeling in the middle of last season like they could contend. I knew they couldn't. They should have traded him. Yeah. But we know what it's like. I guess you don't want to say you got rid of your best players. They kept their relief pitcher too.
They also didn't punish him, but for having the incident that year with it was either a motorcycle or an ATV. He had an off-season,
right?
Which probably he was a violation of his contract.
Right.
They could have stuck it to him, but they chose not to.
Right.
But in 2014, a couple weeks before he pitched the seventh game, he pitched a shutout. And they say he drank 4 beers all at the same time to celebrate his shutout win. So
he's a beer drink. He was a beer drinker too, so we like that about him.
So he I guess 4 beers at the same time would be a home run as far as drinking. First base, second base, third base, home plate. So that's pretty impressive. But I like that. Alex has been sitting out here. Do you like baseball, Alex?
I'm not a
baseball fan.
I'm not in the sport.
Okay, well, get out of here. Umpire says, ejected. You're not a baseball. Oh, man.
Alex Williams' career was a sports writer, too, which is very interesting. Now, I never would have thought that he would have been a Giant fan. I was shocked that he was a Giant fan. I would have thought you would have been an Atlanta Braves fan. But only because they're probably the closest city to where you grew up. But I mean, you could have been a Cardinal fan. There's a lot of teams you could have picked. You could have been a Cub fan if you watching. I don't know. Cable was not big, so WGN is probably from the 80s, I guess. When do you think GN got big into the cable market?
Probably about the mid 80s.
Okay, you could have been any team, and you could have been an American League fan too. You didn't have to be a national. So the fact that I've been a Giant fan since I was, as far as back as I can remember. And it's funny, as a Giant fan, I dislike the Mets, and it's nothing personal. It is personal, but it's not because it's anything they could have done wrong. Any National League team that came here, I would not like, because it's like in my mind they replaced the Giants. The Giants left though. So I mean,
yeah,
you knew New York would have both, leagues represented. So whoever it was, I don't like the Yankees either, but I like them more than the Mets. In that World Series, was there one in 2000? Yankees Mets.
I believe it was 2000.
2000. I was rooting for the Yankees. I know the whole thing with Roger Clemens and throwing at Piazza, throwing
right. Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
Yeah.
So I was rooting for the Yankees in that World Series, and they did win. I'm not a Yankee fan either. So I'm not a New York baseball fan. But I root for all the other New York teams. The Giants are San Francisco, the only team that is away, because I'm a Ranger fan in hockey. I'm a Knicks fan, which has been disgusting too in basketball. And in football, I'm a New York Giant fan, but they've had some good years too. They've won championships. They haven't been all bad. They've just been bad lately.
I hate to say it, but I'm a Knicks fan too.
You're kidding.
I loved Walt Frazier.
I'm not a big sports fan, but I do like 49ers. I do like.
When I was in high school, I grew sideburns because I wanted to be like Walt Frazier.
Wow.
I had like these long mutton chops.
Southern Illinois Salukis.
He was a Saluki. You're absolutely right. And at that period, sideburns were popular in the NBA. And I love the sideburns. Dave the Butcher had sideburns too.
Frazier is probably one of the best point guards of all time, but they won't give him credit because the Knicks were so bad. He did win he won 2 championships, right? 70 and 73.
73.
So he wasn't on
73.
On the 70 team that won? Maybe he wasn't.
The 73 team, they retooled.
Right.
They got Gary Lucas to play center.
Right.
Willis Reed had retired.
Right.
And they traded for Earl the Pearl Monroe, who's from Winston-Salem, about 25 miles from where I live.
And Bill Bradley was on that team, and Phil Jackson was on that team.
Phil Jackson was from North Dakota State, I think.
And he was not a great player, but he was somebody who used his elbows well. So
he was gangly. He was gangly and clumsy.
He would punish people on the board.
He would.
Yeah, punish people.
Which the Lakers had a guy similar to Kurt Rambis. You got to have a guy do the dirty work.
Assistant coach later for the Lakers.
Right, sure enough. And but that was that team basketball with Red Holtzman. Nobody had a better team concept than they did. With Bill Bradley.
He was on that team.
Future senator of New York.
Yep.
That was a great team.
Well, I guess I'm sorry that you're a Knicks fan. I'm happy you are.
Yeah.
It's been often since we did have some good years when
Pat Riley.
We got close, but Elijah Wan killed us in the playoffs against the Rockets. And I should mention this since you are a Knicks fan, how could Riley not have a big enough rotation where if you have a guard, in this case John Starks, and he's doing lousy, you have to let him sit down. And he just did not give anybody enough bench time where he had confidence to put somebody else in. He did have somebody on the team who was a former good player, and I can't think of who it is now, but he didn't have any faith in him. So he didn't let him come. Because if a guy keeps shooting, you talk about the theory, you'll shoot your way out of your problem. Sometimes you don't. Or tell somebody else to tell him not to shoot, set up people, whatever. Because they had won, they could have won in game 6 and they lost. And once they gave Houston life, it was over somehow.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to win the 7th game.
That was there was a 2-year period there where Jordan was away playing baseball, as we're talking about.
Right.
And that opened it up for everybody else. And Houston came in, they won 2 championships back to back. Rudy Tomjanovich's coach, and they had Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler.
They had a really good team for sure.
They really did.
The Knicks had a good team that year too.
Yeah, they
I know now. It's Rolando Blackman was the guy who they signed, and he was on the team. And look at his career. He was a good player.
He'd been with Dallas.
Right, but he was on the Knicks bench.
Right,
him, and he chose. I mean, he let him play some, but why couldn't you let Blackman play a lot in that game and see if he can't do it? Then you take him out. But Riley was pretty, stubborn in his own way, and he thought Starks could shoot his way out. And Riley, being an ex-guard, probably thought I would have been able to shoot my way out of this, so you can too. Yeah. And it turned out to be a mistake.
But when Riley went from Lakers Showtime to that Knicks team, which is a grinded-out physical team, it was a totally different. He'd done it with 2 different styles.
Was Oakley on that team too?
He was. Charles Oakley.
And Oakley was a really good rebounder and a good player.
He was. Tough guy, too.
But Willis Reed had already left, right? Willis Reed was gone. And Ewing? Was Ewing gone?
No, Willis had been long gone.
Was Ewing
on
Ewing
was there, I believe.
Ewing was on that team, I think. And Ewing is probably one of the greatest Knicks of all time, too, because he didn't have a supporting cast. Alex said he's a San Francisco 49er fan, which they're a rich history.
Wow, absolutely, yeah.
Sure. Bill Walsh, they have the championships, and they got close in the recent Super Bowl. Unfortunately, Garofalo couldn't keep it going, because usually when you're ahead like that, you can make it a defensive game, but Kansas City was able to come back and win, which, I mean, their quarterback is amazing.
He is. I think that cemented his place, the fact that, it's like a storybook ending there, to be able to come back at that. I'd pick Kansas City to win that game, but that point there, it didn't look too well for him, but he came through. And that's what your big players step up in the big moments. That's why they get the big bucks. That's why they're called superstars.
And that's why safeties don't get paid the big money that
absolutely,
because the cornerbacks are defending against the best receivers. The safeties are more like outfielders. They're helping. They're giving double coverage, but they're not getting the best receiver. So we were talking. I think it was Monday night after the Monday, Bumpy Roads Monday night hangout. John and Neely and myself were just chatting about baseball and sport, and a few other people dropped in. We're talking about the difference between sports and the impact that one player can have. Like in basketball, the impact one player can have among 5 players on the court is much greater than baseball. It's true.
Where you have a 9. What if you could bat Willie Mays like every third time? It's like,
no question. See, baseball with 9 players, even whether it's DH or non-DH,
right.
You have 9 players, and at least 8 of them are going to bat, even in the American League. 9 in the American League, 8 in the National League. So that good player doesn't come up as often. And that's why sometimes they lead them off so they can have the maximum at bats, if they're not power hitters.
And look during Barry Bonds' run with the Giants, how many intentional walks he got.
I think once with the bases loaded, he was walked by the Diamondback manager.
He had incredible on-base percentages. It was just out of this world.
He was dangerous.
But in basketball, like LeBron James, he can go down and score on a dunk. 5 seconds later, he can make a steal or a block the other end.
Right.
It's a up and down flow game like hockey and basketball.
Right.
In baseball, you have to wait your turn to bat.
Right.
Plus, the defense controls the ball, the pitcher. You don't even have the ball. You gotta hit that pitcher. That's why the pitchers get the big bucks, because they can impact the game so much. Like Garrett Cole with the Yankees.
Right.
They gave him the money because the way the analytics are nowadays, they realize the importance of starting pitching.
Right.
The fact they control the action, they have the ball. You have to hit it.
Yep.
And the dynamics are completely different than the other sports.
Yeah,
in football.
It's the ball. The quarterback starts the play, but then there are other people who do get involved in the play.
And in football, if you've got a good running game, you can keep the other team's quarterback off the field. There's been teams have 10, 11-minute drives. The opposing quarterback, he's sitting on the bench going to sleep. He can't do anything about it.
Which is why defense becomes important in football.
Absolutely. And they'll say,
drives.
Like, time of possession. Say that you will say San Francisco kept the ball for 37 minutes out of 60. That's 37 to 23 minutes.
Right, which only gives the other team 23 minutes to score.
Right. So, and it's not like a couple years ago in the Super Bowl with Brady against the Eagles. He had one of the best games you could possibly ever have. They lost 41 to 32. The defense stunk. They couldn't stop them.
Work out the way you want.
He couldn't. There was nothing he could do about that.
Nope, it just works out that way sometimes.
But I hate to see somebody like a Mike Trout. I like to see him get in the postseason just to show America how great he really is. But he's been stuck on some teams. As great as he is, they're not going anywhere. He cannot have that much of an impact.
Well, speaking of other Giant teams that have been close, you of course remember the Rally Monkey I guess they're of Anaheim, Angels of Anaheim now. I know that were just LA Angels then in 2002. Well, we had them on the ropes. I mean, really, like we had this. I was drinking victory beers already, just to show you how you can't do that. And then Dusty Baker was the manager at the time, and the bullpen had been great. And he starts bringing them out, and the rally monkeys come out. And they got that was game 6 because we were ahead 3-2, and then in game 7, they had the pitching matchup on us, and a journeyman pitcher, not a star pitcher, but somebody who was still around a long time after that, beat us in the game, and it was sad because that 2002 team was very good.
They were. That was a breakout. That was a breakout World Series for Bonds.
And Jeff Kent had a really good year that year too.
Sure did.
So,
but because in Pittsburgh, Bonds had been a bust in the postseason. As great as he was during regular season, one of those guys that he just struggled in the postseason. And it started to get to where it was people was bringing it up a lot. He was getting irritated, I think, hearing it. But in 2002, he broke out.
Right, and unfortunately,
had a great series.
Their bullpen let them down. This not
that
bad, but their bullpen let them down.
And Socha did a really good job managing his team pitching during that series. I remember Socha.
Right.
Another former catcher with the Dodgers.
Another former Dodger too. See, I talked hostily about the New York baseball teams. You know the Dodgers I outwardly hate.
Yeah.
The fact that they lost to them tonight is bad. But look, I look at it this way. If a team is better and they have a good farm system and they're better, they're going to beat you more than you're going to beat them. But it seems like the Giants do get up the games against the Dodgers, and
absolutely they do.
Play them better than the skill sets they have. So it's not guaranteed. They're playing them 2 more Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully the Giants can get both. But even if they get one, I'll be happy because it's not like I'm expecting anything this season anyway. But you want to beat up the Dodgers anytime you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, I think it was the year '82 where Joe Morgan hit a home run in the last game of the regular season.
Yeah, and knocked them out.
As a player, that was great. Joe Morgan, a Hall of Famer, still was a decent player for the Giants.
Now he's from Oakland too. So
right.
He was
and hit the home run to keep
playing for a team that's across the bay, and he always did like the Giants. He said so. He did sign with them. He knew it was the end of his career.
Yeah.
And it showed you he was very clutch with the Reds, and it's funny. The Astros traded him away when they were the Houston Colt 45s, and they got next to nothing for him. And he turned out.
They got some good players. They got Lee May, I think. And they got some good players, but they didn't get what they got in
Joe Morgan.
return.
Joe Morgan's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is one of the best. Great fielder. He was another. He could hit another. He was a 5-point player. He had one year he would get 27 home runs.
He was a clutch hitter. He was on the Pete Rose teams and was really a great hitter and a good clubhouse guy too.
And also in that trade, they got Cesar Geronimo.
Right, he was a great.
He was a Gold Glove center fielder. So that was a great trade for the Big Red Machine. And I saw the Big Red Machine play in Atlanta when Hank Aaron was still playing for the Braves. The Braves played in the old Fulton County Stadium.
Right.
I was mentioning that to John Ely the other night, and that stadium is not located in the best part of town.
When I lived in Atlanta from 77 to 80, the only games I went to when the Giants came in, and the Giants were in their division, so they came in 9 times because you played 18 games.
Yeah, that was the National League West.
I was a traveling salesman, but I made sure I was in Atlanta for those games. The area around there was really bad.
Yeah, it was.
It was a rough section.
It was a rough section because I remember where we parked at, and I looked over at my mom and dad, and I said, I was wondering. I said, okay, we come this far. We got to make a run for it.
And then they went to Ted Turner Field after that.
Right.
And now they're up in Cobb County, near where I used to live in Marietta, right now in a totally new stadium that they built. I think this is the second year they're playing in it. I have friends who live in Buckhead who are season ticket holders.
Oh, really? But I think when I went, Aaron was around his 500th home run, somewhere in that range when I was there. And remember, I got a Braves cap. And my mom was fascinated because they were selling beer in the stands. At that time, this town I live in was a completely dry town. The county was dry. She'd never seen many people actually drinking alcohol out in public.
Right.
And everybody was sitting out, and she was watching the vendors the whole game. Very fascinated by it. Because when I came home, I would go through the hallway here in the house, and I'd say, cold beer, and I was acting like I was holding a beer tray, like a vendor. And she would start giggling and laughing. We had a lot of fun with it.
So that's cool.
She grew up, it was a different culture. She wasn't around alcohol. And to see people out drinking it openly and not, unashamedly, it was sort of a culture shock to her, really.
She was surprised because
and she was surprised that people were pretty well behaved too. They weren't acting crazy, because
we've talked about this, I think, on other broadcasts too. When my wife went with her friend to Jack Daniel's distillery, it's in a dry county. I think it's in Lynchburg, if I'm not mistaken.
Lynchburg, Tennessee, which is a dry county.
Dry county. So you go in, you get a tour, and then they take you. She said it's like a bomb shelter. There are no windows because the local people know what's going on, but they don't want people to see you drinking. So it's like in a bomb shelter, no windows. They let you have a shot of everything they make. They have Jack Daniel's #1, #2. The big one now is #7, but they let you taste what the earlier, distilled products were. And you have to actually get out of the county to buy it because that county is dry. And to me, isn't that amazing that you have a totally dry county? I'm not talking about a dry city. This is a county. And I think there are other Tennessee counties North Carolina probably still has some dry counties.
Can I ask you something? Why would they have a distillery in a dry county? Doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't make sense, except obviously the person who set it up decided as long as he could ship his product out, he didn't really care where it was. Probably owned land and decided to put it there. But
probably the water supply there was probably a factor too.
Maybe the water was more.
This was the perfect place to have it.
Good water for distilling.
So
we can get to the same discussion about, is Tennessee sour mash really bourbon? And it really is, no matter what they say or no matter what. Bless you.
NAFTA says it is.
No, it is, because bourbon is the only American spirit. So all of them fit in that category. It's different bourbon. It's brewed in Tennessee instead of Kentucky. But other than that, it's very similar to Kentucky bourbon.
The difference is, don't exclude it from being considered a bourbon. They could call it a bourbon tomorrow, and nobody could quibble with it.
Right. They call it Tennessee sour mash because they don't want to call it a bourbon, but it is a bourbon.
How do you try all the early years, Michael? You seem to know these things.
You have to go to Lynchburg to do it, because I don't think any of the other stuff, unless you're Robert the Whiskey Scout and you have stuff stored away, and he may have some that he bought before, because you look at his collection on his back wall and he turns around, he says, I have this from 1978, and he still has like a little bit left. But I think #7 is the only one they're making from that series now. If you go to the distillery, and again, my wife went maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I wonder if they're still letting you taste all of them. This was like a special.
I'm curious, why would they still have it after all these years if you can't get it?
They never. Those were distributed then. So in other words, the Jack Daniel's numbers, they didn't distribute every number. Some of them, I guess, they didn't think were good enough to distribute, so they just had them as bourbons or Tennessee mash to give to people when they come, kind of thing. But
so you could drink it while you're there instead of
sitting there. But the #7 is mass distributed. You can go to any liquor store in New Jersey, Alex, and get the #7. It's got mass distribution. It's very.
I've got some old #7 here in the house now. The old #7.
Do you still have a #8, Michael, or no?
We haven't heard anything. They're so happy with the #7, they may stick with it for a while. But you have to watch. They have a website. You can go on it and see what other stuff that they're doing. They're very famous company. So
Jack Daniel.
Anything else? My wife said it was terrific.
Wow.
The old #7, their standard bourbon, the 80 proof, has a bit of a banana note to it.
Ooh, I love bananas. So I'll have to get the 80.
It's a subtle, but it's in there.
You should pick that up, Alex. That'd be a good one in your starter.
It would be
of hard liquor, because it's a good. We have a bottle upstairs too.
Yeah, but I don't want to turn into a. I don't want to turn into a. Oh, I got to drink whiskey all the time. But I could at least have them to review if I want, right?
No, and it's the kind of thing where you don't have to, drink it in mass quantities. You take a shot every once in a while. It's a special occasion kind of thing. And some people, they call it a boiler maker, where you take a shot and then you drink a beer with it. And I do pickle shots sometimes where I use pickle juice, which is fermented, and I'll take the pickle juice together with the whiskey, and they go very well together if you like pickle juice. I guess some people don't, but I
like pickles, but I never had pickle juice. At least I don't think.
There are some that will do it
more intense than a pickle because it's liquid, so it's more intense. But
so,
I like
some
pickle juice.
Some people do a torpedo shot.
So, Michael, when I go to the liquor store, I just ask for Jack Daniel's number 7,
80 proof, because they have an 86 proof too. They have another one, I think, also. Maybe not. Maybe it's not.
They have a lot of. They branched out. The standard one is 80 proof. The black label. You can't miss the black label.
And Alex, if you get it, look for the banana note, because William's seen it and I've tasted it too, and it has that banana note.
And that's the 80 one, or that's the 83 one?
80 proof. Jack Daniel's number 7.
Wow. The standard one. It's and some people.
William, how about some obscure San Francisco Giants like Jim Ray Hart?
Oh, third baseman, Tito Fuentes.
Tito Fuentes? Okay.
Jose Pagan.
Yeah, these are so since you're a fan, these names won't shock you. Do you know that Warren Spahn finished his career as a Giant? He was already washed up, but he still was a Giant.
Johnny LeMaster.
Yep, I remember. It's funny now.
And also they had some really good players that people might not remember. Kevin Mitchell.
Yep, Kevin Mitchell got traded from the Mets. How about Randy Moffett, who's Billie Jean King's brother? He was a Giant relief pitcher.
And they also had some players that were just below Hall of Fame level, like Will Clark.
Yep.
Jack Clark.
I think that will eventually make it. The second baseman I mentioned before, Jeff Kent, has a chance to.
Oh yeah, he's for a second baseman. He put up really good power stats.
Right, and he was a decent fielder too. Even though he wasn't a great fielder, he made all the plays anyway. Yeah. Maybe he wasn't shifty or anything, but he made all the plays. And he was a Met originally. Do you know that about Jeff Kent? He came up with
He played for the Toronto too. But yeah, he was a Met, and then Will Clark had one of the sweetest swings you'll ever was a textbook.
Mississippi State. Will Clark.
He was Mississippi State,
which was a really good college team at the time.
At that time, they really were. And Jack Clark had some good years with the Giants.
Right.
And traded to the Cardinals
too after the Giants.
And had some really good years with the Cardinals.
Who did the Giants trade in the Ray Sadecki trade, which was one of their more is that Cepeda?
Cepeda went on to become an MVP with the Cardinals.
Okay, so we got Ray Sadecki for him. That was not.
I was thinking about that. Some bad Giants trades. Cha-Cha was the MVP when he went to the Cardinals.
I know. So they
won the World Series.
They've made several. How about when we got the catcher from Minnesota who turned AJ Pierzynski, who turned out he couldn't get along with anybody.
Wow.
They gave up a lot of people.
Yeah.
In that deal, people who turned out to be good too. That was to the Pirates or the Twins. Twins, I think.
It was the Twins, I believe.
And he had a good year for the Twins when the Giants traded him, but there was like a personality thing. And I'll say something positive. He's done some baseball work where he's done play-by-play color, and he's a good color announcer. I don't like him because he was such a bad Giant, but he's a good color announcer. And
nobody can forget Gaylord Perry.
And Gaylord Perry too.
North Carolina, a tobacco farmer from Williamston, North Carolina.
He was a Vaseline ball specialist.
And he did. And he contacted the Vaseline company, wanted to do an endorsement deal. They sent him a terse one sentence reply. Our Vaseline is to rub on babies' butts, not baseballs.
In baseball, Alex, if you can change the trajectory of the ball, the hitter has trouble picking it up. So if you can put a strange substance on it, which changes it. So you've heard of spitballs, they Vaseline balls and whatever. It's like a famous deal. Now, if the umpire catches you, you get ejected and you get suspended. But most people were smart enough not to get caught.
And Gaylord would do all this stuff. He would touch his bill of his cap. He would touch his. He was trying to psych out the batters, whether he was throwing a spitball or not. He thought half the battle was won if you put that in their mind.
Right, because he didn't have great stuff. He wasn't a speedballer. He was more middle of the road.
He was doing this. He would always do this, rub his jersey, the bill of his everything, all these idiosyncrasies and machinations he was doing to try to throw off the batters.
Wow.
And, but I know that one of the Hall of Famer Giants was Carl Hubble.
Yeah, this is from the New York Giant era.
Right, and I tried to throw a screwball because of him. It's hard to throw a screwball.
Right. Christy Mathewson is also a great New York Giant from the early.
Yeah.
Why is he not called the New York Giants anymore?
Because they moved
to San Francisco.
San
Francisco Giants.
It has to be your city or your state.
But for a curveball, you have to snap it off.
Right.
For a screwball, you actually have to do it the opposite. You have to turn the other way and torque it the other direction.
Most of the screwball pitchers didn't last long. They had arm problems after they did it for a while. It's not a natural motion.
It is, but I tried, and it's very difficult because of the motion.
Knuckleball pitchers are interesting. You think of the Necro brothers, who are both knuckleball pitchers. Now, that's a slow pitch. It does all kinds of weird stuff. Probably doesn't get anything off your arm, but the batter doesn't know where it's going to go. And
neither does the catcher.
But they're not control pitchers. They have to hope that they're close enough to the plate that the batters will swing at some of them so they don't walk everybody. But if you're a knuckleball pitcher with control, you can be successful. The Mets had one, Dickey, not too long ago, who threw a knuckleball.
R.A. Dickey.
Right, who ended up going to Toronto.
Right.
But there's not, a lot of knuckleball now. The Giants right now, I don't know if you noticed, William, have a submarine guy who throws almost.
He does.
He's been really spotty. I think
he's had some bad. I did that too. I threw submarine.
Because the batters aren't used to the ball coming from that angle, so but he has not been effective. Now, I wouldn't give up on him. He has a brother in the majors too, but I wouldn't give up on him because if you think about it, in this season where we're not going anywhere anyway, let him pitch a lot of innings to see if he's in our future. Because relief pitchers, they're either speed ballers with a lot of stuff, or if they have some off pitch which can be effective, they have to pitch to 3 batters now under this new rule when they come in. So it changes the way you use them. Alice, in the old days, if you had a lefty coming up, you could bring a lefty specialist to pitch to them. Now, if it's a guy in, he has to pitch to whoever is in front of him. 3 batters at least.
When did that start happening in the past couple of years?
This year, and I think it's going to be permanent, although I guess you never know what's going to be permanent. They're doing other weird stuff, like in extra innings now, the team that starts in the top gets to put a runner on second base in the 10th inning. And the Giants, William already lost the game to the Padres, I think, where they came back from a big deficit, made it 6-2, and then in the 10th inning, the Padres scored, I think, 6 runs.
Michael, is that because of COVID, or that was just something that they wanted to do a while ago?
Well, I don't think it's just because of the season, because they had talked about it even before the COVID that they were going to do it. But I think when the COVID came and they knew it was going to be a shortened season, they tried all these things together to see. Doubleheaders now are only 7 innings each instead of 9. So they're doing these little changes because they know they can. And I guess they know, even though it's 60 games, it's in a shortened time with very few days off. They don't want to burn everybody out, and that's it. And it's
so basically, Michael, they already had new stuff before the COVID. Anyway, this is new stuff.
And then they decided to put it all on. The Marlins, who had trouble with the COVID now, I think have to play. I think they were saying with the Mets now. The Mets, have played most of their games, but the Marlins missed a whole bunch because they had players who came down with it. So now I think the Marlins in the next 10 days have to play the Mets like 9 times, and at least a couple of them are going to be doubleheaders because they don't have extra days now on the schedule to make up for what they lost. They still have to play those games that they missed with the Yankees and a few of the others. But it's very hard now because they only have like 1 day off a week, and you can't do a whole series in 1 day. So it's be interesting to see how it turns out.
So you're saying those players won't come back on until
they have to wait at least 2 weeks off and then be tested twice and come up clean. But the Marlins are not a team that's going anywhere either, so I don't worry. The Cardinals are the team to worry about now. They had 2 more cases today on the Cardinals, and they're going to miss this weekend series with the Cubs. So what's going to happen is teams that are potentially good as we get later in the season, you have to make these games up. The depth of your team is going to show, because you can't, in the hottest days of the summer and even September, you can't, field a good team if you're playing, back to back to back double headers, even if they are only 7 innings a game. Put the pressure on.
Hey, Michael, I can't wait for all this stuff to be over. But like you said, the new stuff that came in before COVID, that's still going to be around regardless.
Well, they'll evaluate after the season, but I think the 3 batters for each relief pitcher, I think that's going to stand. And I do think the designated hitter will come to the National League sometime in the fairly immediate future, which William and I will tell you takes a lot of the strategy out of the game. But if you want to get an extra player's salary in there and have more exciting hitting, I guess I can understand it. You don't have to take your pitcher out under those conditions, so it changes the strategy if there is a DH. You have an extra batter. The pitcher doesn't bat. I'm sure Bumgarner doesn't like that because he was a slugger pitcher. He could hit the ball a long way.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, are you gonna when things go back to normal? Are you gonna be one of the first people that go into the baseball stadium, or probably you'll wait a couple months?
Potentially, but the only time I would go to a game would be if the Giants were playing the Mets, because I don't have any reason to go to a Met game or a Yankee game. Now, if somebody called me up and said, "Yeah, we have free tickets," I probably would go. But it's when people are fully social distanced and whatever. I don't think they're going to let people in the stadium at least until the beginning of next year. I think this season they've already said, no people in the stadium.
Right, they've already done that.
What happens with college football, because some of the teams, UConn, the Huskies in Connecticut, they've already canceled their season. They're the first Division I team to outwardly cancel it. They stink anyway, so it just shows you when you're going to be bad. Here's your chance to just say, okay, we don't have to go 2-9. We'll go 0-0, and we'll save all the trouble. But no major conference has stopped. The Ivy League did, but we don't consider them a major football conference.
So, Mike, are they waiting until social distancing is over and then they come back next year, or is that what they're doing?
As far as baseball goes, I would assume next season of 2021 should be fine, but I can't say that our leadership in Washington is exactly controlling things well so far. We'll see what happens. It's hard to say.
You don't think social distancing will last forever, do you? Because
no, but it could last into 2021. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, between 2000.
I would keep your mask handy and have a ready supply, because if New Jersey has spiked again, and there was some more cases from people getting together in parties of 50. The governor was just on, your governor, a couple of days ago, saying that they're going to start arresting people. Fines don't seem to be working, so now when I say arrest, I don't mean they're going to jail them for long terms. I think they're just going to make it we're going to show you that if fines don't work, a day in jail and just a slap on the wrist. If they've taken away liquor licenses from bars already in New York City from not following the rules, which is really sad. But our rate is low enough that the schools are going to open in New York City with full. The kids are going back in September, at least starting. We'll see how that works out.
Do I need to worry about getting arrested and ending up suing a police officer?
No, you don't, because Alex, you're not the type of person who's going to congregate in a big crowd. That's the only time you have to worry.
Because I went to a party the other day, but
how many people were there?
I don't know. I wasn't like all over everybody. Like there was a person across the table, and then there was a person next to me, not exactly next to me, but a little few feet away in front of the table. I should have worn a mask, but we wore a mask when we first walked in. Now,
So you were inside. You were
yeah,
in. Okay. See, I think they're saying that the danger is more inside than out. Last night, I did my regular first Thursday of the month beer tasting, and in order to get one couple to come, we had to move it to the backyard. They wouldn't sit in my kitchen. They
so
wouldn't come.
does that mean I'm in danger then?
If somebody is carrying it, you could be, but the law of averages is actually on your side that you're not, because it's not prevalent enough that. But people don't have to have symptoms in order to spread it from our
Right, that's true.
But chances are you're probably fine. And we did this whole beer tasting. We tasted 14 beers in the back. I set up tables. We had these William, have you seen these camping lights they have now? If you go camping, they hang them. They're solar. They're pretty powerful. They lit things up pretty well. They only had 2, so my wife got 4 now. So we'll have it for the future in case we want to do another one of these, or you can use them just as solar lights for other things too. They
So,
stay on.
Michael, if I walk outside and I walk in my yard and walk to my aunt's, even with the mask, I have the mask with me, or whatever. Do I need to worry about getting arrested, or that was because of God?
They only will arrest somebody, and they haven't arrested anybody. They've just threatened to do it. If you congregate in a big party, like 50 people kind of thing, and you don't social distance and you don't wear masks some of the time. Obviously, when you're drinking, you can't wear the mask because your mouth has to be open to drink. But what they're saying is they don't want 50 people being together all drinking in the same spot. So that's why these bars lost their liquor license. They had people who you come to the front. You're not allowed inside anyway. They were outside, but you can't congregate waiting for that beer, whatever. Have to spread out, and that's it. And losing your liquor license is probably tantamount to going out of business for some of these bars.
Wow.
You can't sell alcohol. You're not going to make it selling grape knee highs. And I think that's a reference to MASH. I think that was the drink of Radar O'Reilly, grape knee high.
I've drank it.
Yeah, I used to have it too.
Yeah.
It was orange knee high too.
Get it out of vending machines. I had a knee high.
So the old soda brands, or what some people call pop, because when I went to Minnesota, it was pop, not soda, are pretty famous too. And it's interesting that your main companies are all still here, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, but those smaller companies have seemed to gone by the wayside, I think.
Wow.
I'm not saying none of them exist, but there are less than there were before.
Yeah, there was here in town. We used to have actually a Coca-Cola bottling company, and they made the knee high here.
Yeah, so they made some of the local brands too.
They made and it would mix, and you just get the vending machines, glass bottles, where you pull them out. Just they're in vertically, and you just pull them out. I had drank many knee highs.
Wow.
I think knee high obviously was available here too, because I don't remember when I was in college drinking it. So I must have had it here, and it was kind of like an off brand, but it was decent soda. I liked it.
Knee high, NEHI, knee high.
Hey, Michael, are you going to celebrate when things go back the way they were?
Yes.
Oh,
I will be celebrating.
I'm going to get me another beer.
Okay. I'll talk to Alex, and when you come back, I'll go get another one.
Okay.
Part of the reason, Alex, that this is being done so late is because Audrey is now sleeping. And when Audrey is asleep, she has no objection to me doing as many beer activities as I want.
As we talked before, I agree.
As long as I don't awaken her, she doesn't care what I do. And that's how I'm able to be on Stout Sunday as well, because she usually sleeps in on Sunday. It's funny, I may not be able to come this Sunday because what's happening is we're down to just 5 weekends at the beach club because it closes the second week in September. And it could be a Sunday where she wants to go early. Stout Sunday starts at 10:30. The club opens at 10. So we might go, and then, John and the rest of the group will understand. But my personal situation has to come first.
True that.
I enjoy doing this, but I am limited. The beach club will only be open until September 13th, which, we still have over 5 weeks left, but time goes fast and you get rainy days. We had that storm hit, the storm that hit on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Sand blew into the pools. So the main pool was closed on Wednesday, and they didn't open it until Thursday. And the other pool where the kids hang out in is still closed. It's supposed to open tomorrow. So sand is an enemy. You're at a beach club where you're right by the Atlantic Ocean. So the sand blows from the ocean onto the beach club, and it goes into the pool when you have a storm like that.
Well, that sucks. And also, they always close on the 13th anyway, right? Every year anyway, right?
Yes, they close because they leave the last week after Labor Day. The club shortens their hours by 3 hours. You have to be out at 6 instead of 9. But if you have good weather that last week, since my wife and I are retired, we will go that last week too. But less people go because people go back to work. People like school teachers and whatever.
Well,
I'll get another one too. I'll be right back.
They should be going back to work anyway.
We hope.
Well, Michael, not Michael. William, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
So, William, you believe, like we talked before, you believe that things will go back the way they were, huh?
I don't know, really. I don't think about it too much, Alex. I just
someday they will, but don't. It won't be soon. I'm just letting you know. It's not going to be next week.
Well, like you said, it won't be until until 2021.
I'm just giving you a prediction. If I was a soothsayer, I would say it's not happening anytime soon. The fact that you and I are in this metropolitan area here that's done a good job with the COVID means that things might come back normally faster here. But we have airports where people can come in from other places and continue to spread it. So we have to watch it and be careful.
Oh, so things will go back the way they were around here, maybe quicker because of our governors taking care of some business. But
we're hopeful. I'm opening another lovebird.
I want to ask you about that. Saying the best beer would be like a 5-tool beer. What would you score the lager you have?
A 3.
A 3. It's a little bit better than average.
It's average. I would say it's average plus, but the plus is kind of, it's nebulous, the plus. So yeah. It's a well-made beer. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not, you can get a better lager than this, I think. But it's okay.
Hey, Michael, you ever heard of Buford?
Buford?
Yeah.
What is it?
Buford Pusser.
Who is it?
You don't know who he is.
It sounds familiar.
Well, I can explain, but also Michael can explain not Michael, William here can explain more. He's a lot of fun with it. He makes it a lot more fun. It's a movie called Walking Tall.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the movie. Was he the star?
No.
The guy who played?
No, the guy that played Buford in the new one was The Rock, based on Buford, the sheriff of McNairy County.
I saw the original one. I didn't see the latest one played by
the original is exactly about Buford. Yes, if you watched 1 and 2 and 3, they're all based on Buford's life.
Yeah, I watched the original movie. I guess the name never didn't stick in my mind, but I watched the original.
But did you know he was a real sheriff?
Did not. I didn't realize it was based on anything, that was true. I know he carried a baseball bat around, and if people got in his way, he would smack them in the head.
Yeah, he's a real lawman. He was killed on August 21st, 1974.
Which is very interesting.
Michael, that beer that you drank, 3 out of 5. What about a numerical score?
Okay, if I was rating this on our 100 scale, 85, a B.
Based on other lagers you've had, what is it missing that you?
Okay, the carbonation is okay, so that part of it I do like. It could have more taste. Now, it has a taste. It has a lager kind of taste, but it could be more full-bodied kind of taste, maybe.
More of a Pilsner taste, a little bit more like we're getting to like a Euro Pilsner lager. They tend to have more taste than these like standard American lagers. So
I would say the company that's brewing this is probably brewing it for somebody who's going to use it like a lawnmower kind of beer.
That's what I'm saying. If it may be representative of the style, but
Well,
sometimes there's nothing wrong with you. Just it's not particularly it's not your wheelhouse.
It's not my favorite style. It's funny.
Yeah.
I've actually had pilsners that were so clean. Like I like Bitburger from Germany. I find that to be a really clean pilsner. Again, it only has the 4 straight things by the Reisganzbach, whatever it is.
Right.
Right.
I just say purity law.
Purity law. So it's a very clean beer, and I do find a lot of the German beers to be very clean, and I do like that. So I would, if I was comparing that to the Lovebird, I would say that's better. That's about the same percentage. This is 4.8. That's 5.
Yeah.
But this is okay. If you went into somebody's house and they said, I have a Lovebird lager from Greenport Harbor, there's no reason for you not to drink it. I think the Narragansett is probably better. I think I might give that like an 89. So
this one has a pretty good amount of flavor.
I like Narragansett.
It really does.
Very good stuff. I like Narragansett, and I like the lemon one, the shandy that you need to try, William. You'll like that as well.
I've never had the shandy either. I've had the regular Narragansett too. I've never had the shandy.
Pretty tasty beer.
It's
believe it or not, they have other beers too, like based off of donuts and stuff like that. But some of those beers I think are only
there may be local beers because I don't think my co-op gets the regular one.
From the state of Massachusetts.
Yes, they are. So you can only, as far as I know, what I've seen, you can only get the lemon one and the burger one. You cannot get the watermelon one, as far as I know. I don't remember.
Eric has arrived. I know he was busy doing his own stuff. I saw him before. And he has a Miller Lite. Eric, you are are you a Red Sox fan?
Ooh, oh yeah, right there.
Because we're talking baseball, and why don't you tell us a Red Sox story?
Tell me tell you a Red Sox story. Oh boy, I've been to a couple of cool games. I guess at Fenway Park. I went to a game. I've been to the game. I've been to actually both of the games that they retired Tim Wakefield and Jason Varitek's number. That was pretty cool. My parents went to the game at Fenway Park where Pedro Martinez pushed over Don Zimmer. That sounded like that was a pretty epic game. We used to have season tickets for a little while. Yeah, I went to a game. I forget, was it 2003 or 4 maybe? There was a giant rain delay, and we were playing, I don't remember what game of the series it was, against the Minnesota Twins, and I'm sitting in a section towards, that must have been towards looking out at the field, right field, and there was a big rain delay. And just remember this, it was like, I don't know, a 2 hour or an hour and a half or whatever it was. And finally, we get to see this Trot Nixon home run over literally where I was sitting, and they won this game. I don't know if it must have been 2003, but it was a special game. I went to this game in 2014 or 15 against it must have been 2014 or 13, I'm guessing, right after the Boston Marathon happened, that bombing happened, and they had everybody go out to the field and whatnot. It was the first series against the Tampa Bay Rays, and they had a guy in their outfield in the center field called Will Myers, and I don't know if he wasn't paying attention or whatever it was, but he literally just stood there. A ball came flying towards him. He literally just stood there and watched this ball as it fell right next to his feet. So for the whole rest of this game, people are just heckling this guy, Myers, every time he was up at bat, every time anyone's sitting next to him where he's at. I mean, he literally just looked at the ball and then just looked at it fall right next to his feet. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Red Sox fans are known for being tough on their opponents at Fenway.
Yeah, we're the fans can be a little bit relentless. We're not quite as, I guess we're not quite as New York Yankees. We're not quite as New York Yankees where if a pitcher did really, really horrible, we're just going to boo them all the way to the bullpen. We're not quite that cynical, all right?
Hey guys, I'm gonna go listen to my music before I go to bed. And
Thanks for stopping by.
well, 'cause
Shit.
I like William, and he's cool, just like you, Michael and Eric. And
You
hey, William,
always,
when are you doing the ABV? Are you still doing that during the week or not anymore?
trying to decide if I want to do the IPA tournament or the beer elevator.
Ooh,
So,
whoa.
I don't know what that means. I'm confused.
that would be
What
like
about you know?
start with a 4% ABV beer, and each week move up 1 percentage point.
That's pretty cool, Alex.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that'll be good. Well, let me know, William, for both.
Okay.
Intensity.
It'd be like 4 to 4.9, then 5, 5.9. Just move up one every week.
Nice.
It's like the
could you
Jeffersons.
Could you do 10 rounds, intensity in 10 cities?
Yeah, well,
No
let me
reason
know.
why I couldn't.
Let me know. What's the other one you're going to do? The other tournament? What's the tournament?
An IPA tournament.
IPA tournament. Okay, well, let me know.
Probably be Voodoo Ranger, Bell's Two-Hearted Ale.
Ooh, okay.
All I'm going to need is IPA, and I'm throwing a wild card, the Dale's Pale Ale, because it's more like an IPA.
It's
So
very
I think most people could get those 4.
Well, William, let me know. Let me know when you do these two.
Okay.
things.
But whatever, I'm not sure what would be the best night, but I'd like to do something like that on a weekly basis, get into a regular routine and do a series like I did with the adjunct lager tournament.
But you're not sure what you're doing this week, though.
Not really, no.
I bet you a Thursday is real. I bet you a Thursday is really good. I bet you a Thursday.
That's what Michael, John Neely said Thursday might be the best night to do that.
It might be, yeah.
So and I've got a few other just like, wild card things, but to do a series, though, probably be one of those two things.
Well, let me
and I
know.
like the beer here. I might do one of these on a prime time, like a 7 p.m. I like to, and just do another baseball thing or sports thing. I mean, that's what's to me that I enjoy that. You're drinking beer and talking about baseball. That's pretty good for me. So
that's true, William. That's true. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. Let me know.
Okay, you're always welcome, Alex, and keep in touch.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Do any of you guys know a John Womack?
It sounds familiar. Is he a regular beer person?
He's asking for a link.
Oh, is he really right now?
Yeah.
I can. Let me see if I can do that. John Womack. Chat.
Michael, you mentioned about the knuckleballers. Wilhelm, I think, pitched for the Giants at one time.
Yeah, I think he did too. And he was probably the most famous knuckleball pitcher, even more than Joe and Phil Necro, because he threw it earlier.
I would say in the modern era, you had 2 knuckleballers that I can really think of. In the
Wakefield was a knuckleballer.
Yeah, Wakefield, and there was a reliever from the Yankees called Mike Myers.
I don't remember Mike Myers, but I'm sure.
I'll put the link I got here. I'll put the link in the chat here.
John Womack. I sent you the link, John Womack.
I'll put it here.
I should be good for another half hour.
Okay.
That's about my limit. Because I do have to get up tomorrow to go. So, but I still have, as William sees, I still have half a beer here to finish. Still good for a while.
Yeah, but
good.
I think I would give the
you know who we didn't mention? I do have another picture upstairs too. Dave Dravecki, I did not mention.
Wow.
You remember? Yeah. You remember his arm practically ripping off on that?
That was grotesque.
Which was really bad.
It really was.
It basically ended his career because he was a pitcher, and it was a really bad tear. Right? He just basically tore his whole rotator.
Right, just one of those things, a fluke type of thing, and
he was a good pitcher for us, though.
He was.
Knuckleball.
Yeah,
obviously Tim Wakefield's the one that I remember the most out of for the knuckleball. Yeah, there's John Womack. Hello, John.
Hey, John.
Got you the link. Hello.
Well, the link you sent me is for desktop, so the link you sent in the chat worked a lot better.
Okay, I'll put that in there for you.
Get to
I
be in
got
the
it.
same place at the same time. Yeah, hello. Yeah, the Red Sox are not a really great team right now. Not really. No.
No, the Red Sox are in a position now that it's a rebuilding phase because all the salary
I couldn't like tell you right now who any of these starting pitchers are. Like this ragtag put together sort of starting rotation. I don't know any of these people. None of them.
So who's doing good right now? Like who's number one right now?
I think
Dodgers.
the Yankees are number one. And I actually think that the Baltimore Orioles might be second in our division
Well-
in the AL East.
the Twins are doing good,
Mhm.
10-3.
Where the
Dodgers
Colorado
and Colorado
Rockies are kind of doing good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Cubs are 10-3. The Cubs are doing
Cubs
good.
doing well too.
The Braves are 9-5.
Cubs
And-
did not do so good yesterday. They
Yeah.
lost 11-0 against the Royals.
Oh wow.
So far, the cream has pretty much risen to the top. Who you would think would be the best teams? There hadn't been, other than Colorado, I think there hadn't been too many surprises. So
Well,
far.
my team is the Royals. I like Royals. That's like my team.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. I think you're hard pressed to find a better, well-rounded team than the Yankees right now. To be completely honest.
And Judge had hit home runs in 5 straight games.
Yeah.
But
He
speaking of the
single-handedly,
Royals,
he single-handedly put the Red Sox in their place during their
Speaking of
series.
Royals,
He
we
hit one
focus-
home run every game during that series.
but we talked about the Royals earlier because they played the Giants in the 2014 World Series.
And,
Yeah.
and then beat the Mets the following year in the
Right.
2015 World
But
Series.
in 2014, it was when they started, I think, their sponsorship with the Boulevard Brewing Company.
Yep.
Royals. Because as I mentioned, when AB InBev was formed, that meant that Boulevard was the largest American-owned brewership in the state of Missouri.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had Boulevard beers or not, but they're
No.
If-
I
if
made
you-
a new drink today. I used Goldschlager and Fireball with Dr. Pepper. It's pretty good.
Damn, I think that Boulevard had some amount of ownership from that Belgian beer company Duvel.
I believe so.
You're right.
Yeah. Then with what's the other one in New York State? Omegang. I think Omegang has some ownership from Duvel.
Duvel
Yep.
also. I think they have some money in them too.
Bumpy Road Brewery brought the Duvel Golden Ale with his
Cheese?
Chinese food when he ate Chinese food. Yeah, he thought it was a okay pairing. I wouldn't have thought of Duvel and Chinese food going together, but he thought it was pretty good.
Probably
And we're
was.
talking American Chinese. We're not really going straight 100% Chinese. And then Drunken One, our buddy Dio from your area there, Texas, he brought some. He had a bunch of different foods, and then he also brought this pot sticker thing you got at the grocery store, 9 or 10 of them in a box, and you microwave and whatever. He's like, yeah, avoid that thing like the plague. It wasn't that good. He was like, oh, all right. Ooh.
Probably wasn't. If you microwave anything, it's not. You're supposed to boil them.
Yeah, I mean, they were like pork pot stickers or something.
Yeah.
I
mean, you're supposed to boil the pot Snickers, so anything in the microwave is probably not gonna be that good.
I didn't have anything on hand, so I made my own version of lo mein. I had some ramen noodles and I boiled that, and I had some shaved steak and some red peppers, and then I put that together and used some low sodium soy sauce and some different spices and some chili and some sriracha aioli, and it came out pretty good. I was kind of surprised, but I mean, it's just kind of. I mean, if you don't know what lo mein is, it's basically just your whatever noodles you want with soy sauce. It's like pretty basic food 101 right there.
Pretty much anything could be Chinese as long as you have noodles and vegetables.
Pretty much, yeah.
Michael,
Or put it over rice. Put it over white rice.
Michael, I just thought another giant, Willie Montanez.
I remember him.
He was a flashy sort of a hot dog. You know, they say he had a little mustard on him. You know, he was completely a player. was a good player, a really good hitter.
Giants Stadium's a cool place. I went there 2 years ago, 2018. The AT&T Park. That's a really nice stadium.
Now
it's really comfortable to go there and sit.
It's now been renamed. It has
Oracle Park.
Oracle Park.
Really?
Advertiser.
Oh,
Oracle.
So it's
damn. All right.
Same stadium. It's been a lot of different things. It's been AT&T Park before as well.
Yeah, that year I also went to see. So with the place that I used to work at, where they make this piece of tire, I used to work at this brand called 47, and I was able to get some tickets from one of our sales reps to go to see the Giants, and then we were able to go. It was April 2018. It just ended up at the same time that we were there that the Red Sox were playing the Oakland A's. So what's really cool in San Francisco is you can get on their subway system, and you can get a ticket on the subway system, and literally on the underground. It goes from underground to above ground, but the underground subway system in San Francisco goes right into Oakland, and it stops right at the Oakland. It literally stops right at the Oakland Coliseum. So you can go right to the Oakland Coliseum and pretty much just really get really, really cheap tickets, not even like $40 or $50, and you can get really good seats. We saw them play the Oakland A's. They did not do really well that day, but the Oakland Coliseum, I don't know if the A's are still going to play there after the Raiders are going to be there, but it just has that old school, like 1970s kind of feel. It's just like entirely just made out of concrete. It's like you're going in this old. It just feels like the 1970s. It's like it's cool, but there's like not really a bunch that screams to me. You before you die, you gotta go to Oakland Coliseum. I don't know.
It's one of those multi-purpose stadiums that they built back in the 70s. They all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
It looks sort of like flying saucers. They were multi-purpose of the football and baseball team, but then they, like with Camden Yards, they're saying we need to build a baseball park that's actually a baseball park.
Mm-hmm.
Then you started seeing more purpose-built stadiums. You know, where it was more like the Wrigley Field, Fenway Park atmosphere.
Yeah. It was crazy to me when I went to being a Red Sox fan, right? It was crazy to me. Now, probably their biggest, most well-known athlete that played on the Oakland A's was Ricky Henderson, but the other one, and I guess I would have never realized that hindsight after the last 2 years before that, was there was so much like pride and people that talked about, and they plastered it everywhere, and they have just like in Washington D.C. with the Nationals, they have like these characters and these people that wear these suits, and they do this running, and they do this triathlon or whatever, and they're running around the stadium in these big suits. And there was a guy that was wearing a Dennis Eckersley suit, and I'm like, I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that he was in Oakland, but I didn't realize like how much animosity and like how big Dennis Eckersley was as a baseball player out there in Oakland. It was crazy. I never knew that.
William, we can go back to the earthquake series of '89 between Oakland and the Giants.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the Giants, we had to face their two top pitchers twice, and that was the beginning of the end. We might have been able to make it a series, but we didn't get a chance to
really showcase.
We tried with our best pitchers; they weren't good enough.
Yeah. That Oakland team was very good. The Bash brothers. They actually probably should have won a couple more.
Was Reggie Jackson on that Oakland team or
not? He was gone by then. It was the Bash.
He was on Oakland? Oh,
Canseco and McGuire.
Oh, wow.
But that team probably should have won a couple more World Series. They were really talented.
Yeah, it was a very
good pitching staff.
Mike Moore was one of the two pitchers that was really good on that team.
They got upset the next year in the World Series by the Cincinnati Reds, a team that was not nearly as good as they were.
No, it just goes to show you sometimes you get hit. You get what do they call it? The team that's not as good climaxes at the right time.
They peaked at the right time. But that Reds team, that Reds team was managed by Lou Piniella.
I was going to say Lou
They had a
Piniella.
rather pedestrian lineup and team, but that was a big upset when they beat the A's. And then the A's started having some problems, Canseco and stuff, and it sort of broke up before it probably should have. But that was a very talented team.
Huh. Interesting.
The two giant announcers now, Mike Krukow and who's the ex-Cleveland Indians second baseman who also played for the Giants, who's the other announcer? Two of them. Dwayne Kuiper.
Dwayne Kuiper.
Both also played for the Giants. Krukow was a Cub first, but then played for the Giants.
Yeah. Huh.
Kuiper for the Giants after the Indians.
Kuiper, I think he's a good announcer. I like his.
I like both of them. I think they're very good together too. I listen to their games when I watch them on, deal with T-Mobile, where you get free viewing of the games, which is nice.
Talking about the Bay Area, Vida Blue played for both the A's and the Giants.
Right. Huh.
Did you like Vida Blue, by the way? Was he somebody that you were a fan of when he played for the Giants?
I like Vida Blue.
Me too.
In the late 80s, huh?
He was one. He had a very, he had a stretch of excellence, but not long enough to be considered like a Hall of Famer. But it's sort of like a Dwight Gooden. They had a period where they were very good, but it wasn't extended long enough for whatever reasons. With Gooden, it was substance abuse. I mean, he was talented. Dwight Gooden.
He was from Louisiana, I think, Vida Blue.
Right. But, there are players that, like Strawberry. Darryl Strawberry, probably nobody had any more raw talent than Darryl Strawberry. But for whatever reasons, he had some pretty good years, but didn't ever put together, I think, they thought he could be like another Willie Mays or something.
Right. Well, see, I think Strawberry would be somebody you could use as a four-tool player.
I think so.
But he was extremely good.
He was.
For sure, but he had those drug problems which really circumvented.
Strawberry, yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to think of somebody who played for both the Giants and the Red Sox.
Oh boy,
maybe there's somebody.
Here's a bad name. If you want to name that one, you know exactly where I'm going with this one. Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, he won. He played for both.
He was pretty good.
That's right.
Pablo Sandoval.
He did.
I guess my thumbs down are Pablo Sandoval when it comes to the Red Sox.
Yep. Actually, he's still.
Isn't that the guy that made the most home runs what do you call it?
Yeah, in 2010.
That's what it was.
Home runs.
He made, I think, 3 home runs in the World Series, or was it 4?
It was 3. It was off the best pitcher for. Was it Texas that we played first in 10?
I think it was in 10.
Detroit.
I think it was
Detroit.
Yeah,
He played first.
I don't think it was.
He made the most home runs in the World Series. That's pretty. 3's a lot.
It was 3 in 1.
The problem with Pablo Sandoval, though, when it came to the Red Sox, and I don't know exactly 100% where he's at now, in his, as a player, but I don't think that he ever on the Red Sox really put any emphasis on trying to shape up as an actual athlete. He was bigger than life itself, literally as a person, as a human being.
And he was a big guy, and he was a big guy too.
He's still well over 200 pounds right now.
Way over that.
Over 250.
He's about I would say about 250, 260. He was a big boy.
Yeah.
he gets himself winded just throwing to first base. Like, are you serious? You're a third baseman. You should know how to do this. And with the level of expertise you have, you shouldn't be this winded this early in a game. Come on.
He's filling in at first base now. DHs now.
Okay.
He's not a regular part of the team.
He was a free agent at a time when there was a dearth of good third basemen.
Right.
And the Red Sox grossly overpaid him.
Yeah, we did.
How much did they pay him for the season? Do you know?
I think it was $17 million over 5 years is what it's kind of.
He was a pretty decent player. Had stretches of really good, but he was vast. The Red Sox was a stretch.
What is it now? What is it now? The big contract that was just signed. What is it now? Was it like close to 300 million for
Mookie,
12 years? They're giving Mookie Betts on the Dodgers or some crap like that. That's ridiculous.
300 million. Damn.
the guy with
He's gonna be like
369.
the
I
pitcher
think
with the
I think in that I think with that deal in mind, he's gonna his that contract for him ends when he's 38 years old. Holy
I
moly!
think it was 369 for 12 years, which comes out to 31 and a half, a little over 31,000 a year, 31 million. Excuse
How
me.
big is the
That's
contract
ridiculous.
for the Yankee pitcher? The Yankee pitcher they signed to the Astros. That's
He
big.
got actually more money per year, about 330, I think, for 8
The
or
worst-
9 years.
One of
Garrett
the worst
Cole.
deals of all times gotta be Manny Machado when he signed his deal to the San Diego Padres. What did he do in his first year? In the second year, absolutely nothing. And they paid him he got a 10, I think he was a 10-year, $300 million contract. What has he done and shown? I don't think much of anything.
Baseball contracts are guaranteed, so once you get it,
Right.
you really don't have to show much.
We did it once. Oh well, the Red Sox have done it multiple times, but one year that I remember specifically is even if it was like 24 or 25 million or whatever the contract was, paid too much to acquire that player Carl Crawford from the Rays.
Tampa Bay.
Just and I think the primary reasoning for that was we paid him too much so that the Yankees and other teams wouldn't be able to acquire a player like Carl
How
Crawford.
the
Then he went
Astros
to
even doing?
LA, and I don't know what his career basically ended there, but I don't think that anybody made out on a deal with Carl Crawford, to be completely honest.
How the Astros? Are the Astros doing good?
They're doing average.
8 and 6.
I think they're in second place.
Yeah, they're behind the A's, I think.
They have not suffered as much for the scandal because by there being no fans in the seats, there's nobody.
Well, that reminds me of another player. Did you heard about Ulises Cespedes recently? He the other day didn't even show up to practice, and then basically the story goes is that he's done. He is done. He doesn't even want to deal with the coronavirus outbreak anymore in baseball.
Damn. So if you quit on your contract, you just don't get paid. Is that pretty much what it is?
That's what it is. But he's in the last year of his contract, Cespedes, so it really doesn't make.
I would figure he's about ready to retire.
So if he already got paid, if he got paid and then you quit, then what happened?
Nothing. He got paid for the 8 games he played when he was on the roster.
He's got to be in breach of his contract, right? Right, Michael?
Okay.
But he's going to retire or go for another team next year.
He's got to retire. The only other player that reminds me of that guy, I mean, he didn't abandon the team and nobody knew where he was with Ulises Cespedes. But I remember at one point in time when the Red Sox had Bartolo Colon. I forget when the year was there, William. But
he's about 50 years old now.
There was a year with the Red Sox
age unknown,
where nobody knew where he was. He abandoned and he went where he's from, the Dominican or wherever it was, and nobody knew where he was and what happened to him.
Huh.
It was the strangest thing.
That's crazy.
Speaking of contracts, are you aware that Barry Bonilla, the ex-Met,
still getting paid?
He still gets deferred payment. So he signed a big contract. He makes like $500,000 a year, and I think it goes through 2031. So he's 11 more years.
And he's still getting paid well.
He's still
seems like a breach of contract, if you ask me.
It should be.
And whoever his lawyer was or his rep decided it was better not to get so much up front, even though I'm sure he has a contract.
Agent, yeah.
So if you get like an injury where you can't go anymore and you have a 10-year contract, at least they have to pay you for those 10 years?
In baseball and basketball only.
So if you break your neck and or something happens like that and you get paralyzed and you can never play again, you can still get paid for those 10 years?
You still get paid in baseball and basketball. Hockey just cut you, and you'd probably get some deferred payment away.
Yeah, hockey is probably one of those few American sports where you actually, for what your talent level is, you probably get paid the least amount of money as opposed to baseball, NFL.
So they just give you a cut break then. It's like a cut. like a percentage of
And I don't understand that. I don't understand that with hockey because there's a lot of wear and tear on people's bodies, and there's a lot of grinding throughout a season. I don't understand why you would want to underpay anybody in the NHL.
Hockey revenues are less. That's the reason. Their scale is just not as high. It's like the WNBA.
Wouldn't soccer be the most dangerous sport? You really think about it?
There are a lot of soccer injuries, I would think, because there's a lot.
There's a lot of physical running, pushing, shoving.
The MLS,
But in sports,
they don't wear pads like football players do. So.
I think they realize. I got a buddy. Michael knows my buddy Dave. He does some work with the New England Revolution, and when they're up and running, I think they are now. He works the games at Gillette Stadium, and he literally runs the scoreboard for that team. So I've talked to him about the MLS and stuff like that, and even if it's gaining a lot of momentum in it, and it's picking up more fans every single year, it's still hard for the MLS to even compete with like the Liga Primera in Italy or even the professional football league there in the United Kingdom. It's like what these teams really would like to do is try to find those kind of players to the MLS teams to really try to garner some more fan base. But even though that happens, there's still a large fan base for soccer in the United States that doesn't watch the MLS. They're still watching the overseas matches, and they're still watching the Italy League, and they're still watching the United Kingdom League. It's to me, it's going to be hard to ever get MLS to the point of success where even the United Kingdom is. I don't think you're ever going to get to that point, but you still are trying to get some fan interest in the MLS. It's still the ultimate goal for them.
Yeah,
I think so.
So, William, if you had to make a comment about baseball and in general, what would be your biggest baseball beer tie-in story that you can think of?
What baseball?
Baseball beer. In other words, can you think of a story that we haven't discussed, something related to baseball and beer together? Because I was thinking the commercials that I used to see as a child when they did have alcohol commercials on TV.
Right.
But a lot of them were very.
Well, the only beer that they announced right now is Crawford Bock as being sports beer of the Astros. But
One thing I remember was the Miller Lite, the taste great, less filling ads.
With all the stars in it, all the famous people.
And the fact that Mickey Mantle defected, and he then said his favorite was Natty Light.
Oh, wow.
So he defected as a free agent, and Budweiser snapped him up, and so voila, overnight, his favorite light beer was Natty Light. So
Isn't Natty Light and Bud Light have the same alcohol percentage?
Bud Light 4.2, I think.
Natural Light 4.0, maybe?
No, I think they're about the same. When you talk about that, 10% don't matter. They're all light beers. They're all around the floor.
What is the difference? See, the question is, what is really the difference on the two?
Natural Light. So Natural Light. I mean, William is the king of history when it comes
Natty
to
Light was actually around
before Bud Light. Well before Bud Light.
Well, yes. I mean, is there really that much difference on taste? They're made with the same ingredients.
Well, Bud Light is only made with rice as an adjunct. Or Natty Light has adjuncts of corn and rice.
Natural Light is 4.2 also.
Okay, so they're exactly the same. So,
but the Natural Light beer was evolved because at one time Schlitz got in some trouble because they shortened their fermentation period, so they had to add a stabilizing agent in the beer, and voila, some people were getting slime in their beer when they opened it up and poured it out. They said it looked like snot.
Oh.
So
not good.
Budweiser capitalized on that by coming out with a Natural Light beer. Ours are natural, nothing artificial. It was a direct slap at Schlitz. So that's
Yeah,
how the
that's
Natty
what I was just
line
gonna say. Something with Schlitz
got
happened
started.
that way too.
So that's why
Yeah.
they introduced the Natty Light,
Yeah.
the Natty lineup, but say wild beers are natural. They don't have
Yeah.
artificial ingredients.
They really do taste similar. I mean, if you really didn't
Yeah.
know what to look for, I'm pretty sure you couldn't tell a difference.
The Bud Light tends to have a little bit more of the what they call as a all flavor acetaldehyde, which is a green apple.
Yeah.
Okay, like Budweiser Select and Budweiser Regular, there's really not that much difference too.
Yeah, I mean, these are all light flavors. So anything different is going to be a subtlety, which you only discover if you drink a lot of these on a regular basis. You might be able to take some minor differences.
So if you have Bud Light, Budweiser, and Select, do you think you could taste all three? I know which one that would be.
Yeah, the Bud Light is about 1%. I think the Bud Regular is a little bit more of a.
I think you would tell Bud Light and Budweiser maybe.
5%.
Take off. It's been fun, William. Thanks for hosting. Keep in touch.
I enjoyed it. We may do this again if you want to.
I'll look for you soon. Keep in touch on Messenger with me. Okay. Take
care.
Good night.
May put it.
Well, yeah. I mean, really, the Select and Budweiser, the regular Budweiser, don't really have that much taste difference to me. I mean, that's just to me. I drink both of them pretty often, so.
Budweiser Select. I see the Budweiser Select. I haven't really seen the full-fledged, more of the premium version, the Budweiser Select, a lot.
The premium one, you're talking about Budweiser Premium Platinum?
Yeah, I haven't really seen a bunch of the Budweiser. Again, I haven't really seen a bunch of the Budweiser Select. But I did see, I think it was in 12 packs in my town.
They only come in 12 packs.
I saw a 12 pack of Budweiser Select 55, the 55 calorie version. Now, obviously, my thought would be that they're still trying to compete with the Michelob Ultra. I don't really remember, but I feel like the Budweiser Select 55 was the one that came out before the Michelob Ultra, before the whole thing. Now we talk about the 50s and then moving onward into the 80s. So the 50s was probably the first time where you heard anybody talk about beer and lighter ABVs being, quote, diet beers, right? And then in the 80s or the late 70s, whenever the Miller Lite actually came out, was when people actually started talking about really light-bodied ABV beers. And then what was it? Was it Narragansett? I forget who it was in the 50s that had. It could have been I don't know if it was Miller or Budweiser. Well, there was a brand, Willie would remember this. There was a brand that tried at one point to call themselves not even light beer.
Yeah. See, the thing about it is, if you're worrying about calories, you probably shouldn't drink beer.
Just in general.
I mean,
what am I drinking? Miller Lite 95. That's really not super terrible, I guess.
But the Michelob Ultra has cut into the sales of the Bud Light quite a bit.
What is this? 3 carbs, 3.7 carbs.
So more people are buying Ultra than Bud Light, you said?
Right. They cut in there because the Michelob Ultra has been marketed as a lifestyle beer for the active person. You know, they don't want to get filled up and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's taking sales away from Bud Light is
I would say in Texas that they can't keep Bud Light on the shelves. That's just, I mean,
Bud Light is still the #1 selling beer in the country by far. So you got to keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, they lost like a 10% sales. They
have lost considerable market share of what it used to be. At one time, it was like 25% of the total beer market, which means that every fourth beer sold was a Bud Light, which is phenomenal.
What the heck was I watching the other day? There was a commercial. I don't know if it was on ML or it was on ESPN simulcast of an MLB game or whatever it was. But somebody was at a convenience store, and they literally. We're talking about Miller Lite here. So this person at this convenience store in this advertisement on television brought up its 12-pack bottles of Michelob Ultra, and the guy at the cash register, he wasn't really paying attention all that much, but he saw that it was a Michelob Ultra 12-pack, and he nonchalantly said to the guy that brought up the 12-pack of the Michelob Ultra, he said, you know that Miller Lite only has one more carb than Michelob Ultra, right? And he goes, oh, I didn't know that. And he goes back to the cooler and he puts back the Michelob Ultra, and he brings a 12-pack of the Miller Lite instead. Like, that's their new ad campaign. Like 1 gram of carbs for all of that taste by Miller Lite. All right.
I don't know. That's like my least favorite beer that I would ever grab as a domestic beer. But
Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Ooh. You know, it's a really good one, but I just don't. Some of the Michelob stuff is pretty good. The Michelob Light and the original is pretty good.
The prickly pear is probably the best one.
I just don't. I mean, they're a little. We're talking like pennies on the dollar, I guess, compared to macro beers on the market. But I'm not sitting here suggesting that Miller or the Michelob stuff is like that well priced in comparison to other light beers. Talking about Natural Light, for example. It's no
Michelob's more expensive than Bud Light. Michelob's more expensive than Bud Light. Really think about it, or Miller Lite, and every Bud Light line.
Yeah, I think it's the Michelob way of how they've done things forever with that line. It's like with the Natural Light, like what William was saying. It's more natural. There's more premium ingredients, and it's not so much of like an adjunct per se. Even though they are using it more with like Michelob Ultra. These days, there are the adjuncts involved, but when Michelob, I think when it came out, it was like strictly more of a German kind of a beer where you're not using adjuncts, we're providing you a beer with more taste and less crap in it. I think that's where Michelob got its hold at one point, and people kind of took notice to that with Michelob.
Isn't Busch made by Miller Lite?
No, Busch, the Budweiser product.
Oh, it's a Budweiser.
Busch was introduced to compete against Old Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Budget beers.
Old Milwaukee, that would be that's their.
I've never even seen an Old Milwaukee here.
I've got some right now. I've been drinking it this week. I got some Old Milwaukee.
I have not seen that. I mean, I live in Austin, and they have more like Stones, and they have Keystone and Natty Light.
Oh, Stones, yeah.
I got a can over here. It's I got it a mile from home at Walmart.
Yeah, you can't say Stone anymore because you say Stone and you're thinking Stone IPA. You're gonna get confused. You're gonna get a lawsuit. Oh boy.
You know what? I was surprised they had. Hold on, real quick. What I saw one time, and they'll never have it again, was Red Dog here at the HEB over here.
Yeah.
They'll never have Red Dog recently too.
Well, they'll have that in Texas. Like, oh, there you go.
Milwaukee can. They got the pinup series with the girl. Went back to a more retro design.
Yeah. Ooh. And those come in a 24-pack, right?
I got a 12-pack at Walmart. It's a mile from where I live.
Oh, okay.
They just put it on the shelf, and it was like only a few days old.
That's awesome.
I said, well, this is super fresh, so I'm going to grab a 12-pack, and I got a 12-pack of them. I drank about 8 of them, so I only got 4.
So when they had Red Dog, I bought 8 6-packs, so they were in 16-ounce cans. And it lasted 2 weeks, and then I was like regretted drinking it. I was like, probably never get it again. It was like
I got a 30-pack of Red Dog in Pennsylvania on a road trip one time. And John and Neil, when he came to visit me last year, we drank a Red Dog right where I'm sitting, almost right here.
Red Dog is an awesome beer. I mean, it's probably the same thing as Budweiser, but the can art and everything else.
The Red Dog is one of Miller's products, and they always said it was like at one time they did a lot of advertising. A lot of people thought it was better than Miller High Life, but then over time, the popularity sort of waned on it, and they quit focusing their advertising on it. Now it's a brand that most people don't even think about. It's only
there are some other beers that Miller Brewing Company did in their Plank Road Brewery series when Ice House came out. They had another beer, and I think it went extinct. I've never seen it since. It was another one. I never had it, obviously, due to that. I never had a chance to try it. There was one called like Southpaw and Southpaw Light.
Yeah,
or
they
something
had
like that.
Southpaw. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, okay.
That is. You would have thought that would have gone the way of Red Dog, but look where Red Dog kind of is.
Southpaw is
Occasionally, you'll see a 30-pack of it in Massachusetts. I've never ever seen Southpaw. That must have not done very well for the Plank
Speaking of
Road.
Have you heard
baseball,
of the beer called the Golden Monkey?
Yeah, that is not Founders. That is I've heard of Golden Monkey. Who the hell makes?
I believe that's like an 8%. I tried it one time, and I would say that's like really good.
Golden Monkey?
is that the
That's
Victory
from Pennsylvania somewhere.
Victory.
It's Victory, yes, Victory,
Yeah.
yes, that's it. Wow, yeah.
If you like your Belgian golden style ales with a little bit of sour twinge to it, that's a good one.
But Eric, you mentioned the Southpaw. That's another name for a left-handed pitcher in baseball. So there's a connection there too. The Southpaw.
Or the underdog in boxing.
Chris Sale's the Southpaw.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is not pitching this season.
David Price is a Southpaw who's now.
So what would you say? Do you say that PBR is better than Rolling Rock, or Rolling Rock is better than PBR? What's your opinion?
PBR any day of the week on that one.
Yeah.
They're saying that Rolling Rock is way better than PBR, and well, that's in Texas.
In price, it's definitely way better.
Like, they're about the same price here.
$12. Yeah.
They're about the same
Rock
price.
is only 4.4%. It's more like a Bush. PBR is a little bit more alcohol, and I think a better flavor.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it has a Rolling Rock red. It has a hot, yeah.
A red lager. It used to have a Rolling Rock red.
No, if you're gonna go into the brown ales, I would say Newcastle's probably the best one, around the best one.
I don't know of any other brown. I mean, there was Dundee made one called Honey Brown. That was made by who was that made by? That was made by the
Dundee's a Genesee product.
Genesee, that's the one.
Made in Rochester.
That wasn't bad.
I always liked Newcastle. I thought that was a really good beer for a long time.
Newcastle is now in the United States. You're getting it brewed by Lagunitas, and a lot of people say that it's different than what you get from the United Kingdom.
I haven't had it in a while, so I couldn't tell you. But
yeah.
I mean, Lagunitas products are usually pretty good. I mean, I haven't really had a bad one, so.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really well priced for what they produce. I think they're really, really good values, the Lagunitas.
See, but the thing is, I can only get the Bombers, the 24-ounce ones.
Wow.
I can't get a 6-pack.
Really?
Well, the Bombers are $4.99. I mean, it's not bad, I guess.
Eric, here's the one I had tonight.
Oh,
wow.
No, that's
very nice.
Here. That's not bad. No, we get that all over the place around here.
I like Narragansett. It's one of my favorites in the adjunct lager category.
The full-body tasting beer, if you ask me.
It has a lot more flavor than some of the other ones.
You know, another beer that I used to like about 10 years ago is Still Light.
That's a really low. That's maybe 3.8%, I think.
It's probably
really
4%.
low ABV beer, yeah. And then Bumpy Road had another beer. I remember Amstel Light had a Radler. He had a Bitburger Radler recently. He said it was only 1.9% alcohol by volume.
Wow, that's probably the weakest beer you can possibly get.
So you could, if everybody could find, which would be hard, I think, if everybody could find a
beer lower than 2%.
If everybody can find a Bitburger Radler beer, William, you could start your levels of the ABV starting with that 1.9.
Heineken now makes 1.0.
Oh, you could start with the
it's 0.0. Heineken.
What was it? Coors has one called Coors Edge. Coors Edge. Bring a non-alcoholic, which is supposed to be less than 0.5 ABV.
Yeah. Well, you could probably start for like anything under 4.
Yep.
But I just thought 4 was, there's some like 3.8, 3.7.
I mean, that's going to be kind of hard unless you go into states that they have like low ABV count.
Yeah. I think you're always going to be able to find non-alcoholic offerings. Yeah,
I've seen 3.8, and I think that is what is that? What is that? The PBR Easy? It's like 3 point something.
The Yingling is 3.82. Yingling Light.
Wow.
I think it's the PBR Easy or something like that.
Yeah,
it's 3 point something. That's the lowest beer I've ever seen here. So.
Wow.
It's 3.6. I just Googled it.
Damn. All right.
Easy. PBR Easy.
Eric, can you get the Bud Light Apple in Massachusetts?
Bud Light Apple.
I have never. I thought that's Bush Apple.
Oh, there was a Bush. I'm not.
Yeah.
I
can get that.
I haven't noticed that yet in stores.
It's not available here in North Carolina.
Yeah, Bud Light had an apple that I think was possibly only available in Canada for a long while.
No, the only one I've seen here is the orange, the lime, and then they have all the other
lemonade one. I can find the lemonade one pretty easy. Yeah,
there's a couple.
Not that Bush apple yet. No. Bush apple.
There's been a couple of reviews, but the guy is sort of like a shill for. They sent him the beers. And so I think he's more like he's not really reviewing it.
Yeah, he already has
I am not going to buy a 30-pack. I've seen it yesterday, and it's only in a 30-pack. And I
wouldn't buy a 30-pack of that.
No, if you never tried a beer.
You want to try one, or you got to try 29 of them extra, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that expensive. It's $16.99 for the 30-pack, but still, I mean, what about if you hate it?
You got to want that around, yeah. Exactly.
The only beer I buy in a 30-pack is PBR or Miller High Life, or I like pretty much all of those. I mean, the Stones, the
Stones.
Yeah. Does Bush come in a 30-pack? I think it does.
It's gotta, yeah.
30 rack.
Yeah, Eric, we get all the Narragansett beers, and they're basically around like $12 or $13.99 for a 30 rack. So you go,
that's about $3 cheaper.
You're doing all right. Yeah.
I'm not $3 is not really that much difference, but
I'm not a huge fan of the Genesee Ice beer, not really. But if you find the Genesee Ice and you want to bring it to Malty Monday with Bumpy Road, because Bumpy Road's doing ice beers, go right ahead. You can buy it.
What about the MG? What is it? The MG Gold? I think that's probably the best one. The Gold.
Oh, the genuine draft, maybe.
Yeah, Gold.
Yes.
Eric, did you vote for the ice beers in the poll?
I did.
I might have been like one of the people that brought up ice beers, reading the comments, but I think I voted for the Flanders Red Ale. But my favorite ice beer, one I'm probably going to bring if I get to a store and I find it, is going to be the Molson Ice.
Molson Ice.
My favorite. I like that. I actually really think pretty highly on that beer.
Doesn't Schlitz have an ice beer? I think Schlitz does.
Like a gold or a Blue Bowl ice or something like that.
I think Schlitz has an ice, if I'm not mistaken.
Schlitz doesn't have an ice beer, not just
we never get any of these malt liquors or the ice beers from Schlitz. I know a store to buy Schlitz, the original kind of variety.
You mean the one in the gold can?
The gold can is
it's like a white and a red can, just like the Schlitz 60s formula.
The only one I've ever seen here is in the gold can. It's 8.5%.
Yeah,
that might be the Schlitz Gold. Yeah.
The standard one is the Blue Bowl. The Blue Bowl is 5.9. They have a Red Bowl too, which is 5.9. Then they got the 8.5.
That's the gold can. Yeah.
Our buddy Craig from Kent Beer Reviews. He was thinking. I saw him earlier on another stream. He was thinking about trying to join for the Malty Monday with Bumpy Road on the ice lagers. However, I'm not really sure, and he's not really sure either, how prominent these adjunct ice lagers are really in the United Kingdom. The only thing that I thought of, and I actually found that the beer was made I don't know if carling is a giant thing in the United Kingdom, and maybe the United Kingdom might have carling ice or something like that at grocery stores. I don't know what he's gonna be able to find
Pretty much
in
has to have
the
ice
Kingdom
in the
for ice
title,
loggers.
right? And it pretty much has to have ice in the title, so.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about ice box. We did ice box one time, and that was a blunder because myself and maybe one other person besides Bumpy actually was able to find an ice box,
Yeah.
which was kind of a silly topic to be completely honest.
Well, he goes to the store where they have like at least 200 or 300 different beers. I mean, you should be able to find it.
I'm just curious I'm just curious in the United Kingdom if there's any prevalence to ice loggers like there are in the United States. I don't know. Maybe he'll find one. That would be amazing if he does.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, these are sort of unique to American Canada. Actually, Canada. The first one was Labatt. That was the first ice beer. But it's definitely a subset of the American Adjunct Lager. So
yeah.
It's
what would you say the strongest beer that you have ever had is? The strongest I've ever had is 14.
That's about what I've had. The KBS. I've had the
I think
Goose
that's
Island.
12.
Goose Island, I think the one I had was 14.7. I think.
Okay, and the strongest one I had is something from Evil Twin, and it was like 14 something.
Yeah. When you talk about that, you're getting the barley wine territory.
Yeah.
So
and then they go, that they go way up there. You can get some that are 40, 50%.
Yeah, some of these one-off things.
Yeah, they're not even worth anything.
When you get something, it's like, I like whiskey. I'll just get a shot of whiskey if it gets to a certain point.
If you're going to go over that, there's no point even drinking beer. I mean, beer's just supposed to be like in between,
Yeah, beer is different than whiskey. Beer's supposed to be drinkable.
Yeah.
Not
it's like you're like flinching every time you take a sip.
Yeah, you get to a certain point, you're just taking little sips, and it's like it's whiskey. I just rather have a shot of whiskey.
So, what is your choice in whiskey?
I like the Evan Williams products.
I like Evan Williams, yeah.
I like the.
If I have to pick, like my favorite is probably Johnny Walker or Screwball.
Yeah, you like the flavored ones.
Some of them I like Screwball because I like the peanut butter flavor.
Yeah.
Have you tried that? I don't know if you tried that.
I like the Evan Williams bottled in bond, the white label.
Yeah, that's good.
Proof.
Yeah.
Some of the flavored ones, I'll even drink some of occasionally the apple.
Yeah.
The apple.
I like Johnny Walker apple. That one's probably the best apple one I've had.
Yeah. I like the bourbon quite a bit.
Yeah, I like
bourbon
pretty
is
much
into a beer because basically whiskey starts out as a beer. You get the wort.
Yeah.
They first ferment it before they distill it, so
yeah,
you can definitely see some of the connection between those two. And
you like Sailor Jerry's?
Pardon?
Sailor Jerry's?
I've never had that.
Yeah, it's like 93 proof or something like that.
I've got some corn whiskey now, which is just clear.
Oh wow, nice.
George Dickel. It's 91 proof.
Oh, there you go.
and you can really taste it without that barrel aging in it. It's just straight corn.
So you just put it on ice, or you just put it in a glass?
I like it just room temperature out of the bottle. You can still it and put ice cubes in it, but I just like a lot of them just room temperature.
I just use ice. If you're gonna drink whiskey with something, it's not even worth. To me, that's just not worth it.
Yeah, I've got some silicone ice cubes which don't melt when you put them in the drink. So
that's cool.
They're really nice. I got them at the grocery store one day. It was sort of a curiosity, sort of a gag. I said, I think I'll try this. And they actually
you're talking about you just freeze them and then you put them back in ice tray and then freeze them again.
You just freeze them each time, and they do. And there's no taste to them. I've sucked on one. You cannot tell.
And how long does that last? How long does the ice cube last, would you say?
About as long as it takes you to drink it. It's pretty good.
Okay, so you would probably still need ice. Basically, you would still need ice then. I never tried that, so.
They're pretty, if you ever see them in the grocery, sometimes in the grocery store they have these items hanging up on the aisle. It's like they call it impulse purchases.
They kind of look like those keyboard cover things, and you just punch them out.
It's sort of.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Items they hope you just pick up. It's like these little these little trays you put half a sandwich in.
Yeah.
Ketchup bottles.
I think I have seen them, but I mean, I never tried them. They're about $4 or $5.
Right, I think these were like $2.99 or something.
But how many pieces do you get? I think this was 12.
I got 12 of them.
Yeah. That'll make about 4 or 5 drinks. I mean, depending on how many you use.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like I say, they don't melt, so you don't dilute the beverage. Just get some chilling effects.
Yeah. I mean, if you get into those 90 proofs, I would probably use a couple ice.
Yeah, if you get up to certain points, some people actually like a little water. They think it mellows it out, makes it taste better.
No, I don't like water.
I don't like water either. Some people really like. They'll say a couple drops of water really bring the flavors out and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean my favorite drink is Goldschlager and what did I say? Fireball.
Yeah.
I put 1 shot of each and a little bit of Dr. Pepper, and it's pretty good.
Dr. Pepper seems to be a good mixer.
I would say it's probably one of the best for pretty much anything.
Spiciness of it, a little bit of spiciness to it. It works pretty well. So.
And they would go with gin, vodka, go with pretty much anything. I don't even know one that won't go.
I can't think of anything that wouldn't be decent with a Dr. Pepper.
The other one I would say is tea, like sweetened tea.
Yeah. We have a regional drink in my area called Cheerwine. It's basically like a Dr. Pepper, but it's a little more cherry flavor.
Oh, okay.
And I like it a lot to put in as a mixer.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it right, I mean, you would go with Pepsi or Dr. Pepper. I mean, Pepsi goes the same way, in my opinion.
And some people like the Mountain Dew or Mellow Yellow as a shade,
Yeah, but that has a lot of caffeine. I mean, that's like basically keeping you up. I don't like getting wired and drunk at the same time. That has a lot of caffeine.
Have you ever drank either flavored malt beverages like the Steel Reserve Alloy or the Natty Rush?
Oh yeah, those are okay. I mean, that's pretty much like having the malt liquor, like Four Locos and all that other stuff. But
the Four Locos go up to about 14%.
Yep.
No, they are really cloyingly sweet, like cough syrup.
Oh yeah.
They're very, very sweet.
Which ones have you tried? I think the pineapple one's probably the best.
I like the pineapple in the Steel Reserve. I've had that one.
They have the watermelon, and I think they have a grape.
And there's also one that comes in a little glass flask bottle called Johnny's Bootlegger.
I have never seen that.
They're 12%. They come in flask bottles.
Yeah. Have you seen something called Earthquake? High gravity?
Yeah, 10%. I've had that.
Yeah, those are not bad. What about the Natty Daddy?
I just drank one of the new Natty Daddy lemonades. That's one of their newest ones.
Isn't that 8%?
It's 8%. I did a review on my channel for that one.
Oh, I haven't got there yet. I just subscribed today.
It's got the most views of anything I've done so far. Actually,
I'll see it. Yeah.
Natty Day lemonade. I gave it a good rating, and most people have been very highly complimentary of it.
Does it actually have a beer flavor at all, or
no? There's no beer flavor in it.
Okay, so it's just like a lime cooler. What do you call it? Okay.
I did a hangout one time where I explained what the flavored malt beverages were. Mm-hmm. All they're looking for is a neutral alcohol base. They take a beer and take all the beer flavor out of it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
What they're left with is like a neutral grain spirit.
Yeah.
That isn't alcohol. Then on top of that, they add the flavorings.
Well, I'll see the video in a little bit. Yes, got to see that. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, so it must be brand new. So I haven't really looked at it, looked for it either. So. Yeah. But Natty Daddies are pretty, up there. Like, if you have 5 of those 24-ounce cans, you're pretty much done for the night.
Yeah, I did last month. I did a little beer tournament where he did like PBR against Budweiser.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw some of it.
And actually, the PBR wound up winning.
Well, yes. For the price and the value, it should.
And I've been thinking about doing some tournaments in some other styles, like
What
maybe
about like craft beer or?
IPA was my next choice.
Yeah, I mean anyone can get IPAs.
So that was what I was thinking about, maybe starting.
See, but you gotta make it where how's everyone gonna get that? I mean, like let's see, all the Carbox is only in Texas. I mean,
the ones I picked were the ones that I thought most people get, like Voodoo Ranger.
Oh, I think pretty much everyone could get that.
And Lagunitas.
Yeah, I could get that.
Bales.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people could get pails, but yeah.
Bales and also Oscar Blues.
I haven't seen Oscar Blues, but I haven't looked for it either. So
yeah, actually they have a brewery.
There's like about the next town over about 10 miles. They have like what do you call it? Like one of the biggest beer stores where it has like sliding doors, so like it goes around the whole store. It's like probably, I mean, they probably have at least 500 different beers to choose from.
Yeah. The problem with doing these tournaments and stuff is you have to stay within the main brands because beer is such a regional product. Yeah. I mean, I have towns where beer, you can find it everywhere. You go 20 miles away, you couldn't find it. Well, you had the FBI with you.
I mean, any Bud Light products is pretty much nationwide.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying the major ones are, but once you get past the big sellers, it's very regional.
Yeah. Can you get Soul? I'm pretty sure you could get Soul, right?
Soul, yeah, that's a Miller product.
Yeah. That's like the lightest Chris's beer that you could probably get that's, I mean, drinkable.
A lot of, in towns that have a large Hispanic population, you'll see a lot of the Mexican beers, which here where I live, there's quite a few. I see Pacifico.
I mean, they have, they go with Cata Blanca, Victoria, Dos Equis,
Modelo, Corona. The Mexican. I thought
and even Dos Equis even has a Mexican lager, and that one's all right.
I sort of like the Pacifico in that bright orange.
Oh yeah, Pacifico, yeah. I like Victoria. I think Victoria has the most flavor out of those.
I haven't tried that one. I haven't tried the Carta Blanca.
Yeah, those are good. Have you tried the new Corona Premier?
I've had the regular, not that I want to try the Premier because they just started getting in this area in the brown bottle.
Yeah, Premier's pretty good.
I've had Tecate quite a few times, Modelo.
The light really tasted like the regular one. I really can't taste any difference. I mean, to my opinion, but
yeah.
I mean, it's just less calories and more ABV.
I'm not a big fan of Corona, the regular one. I think it's overpriced for one thing. But
I mean, I'd rather have Heineken, and they're about the same shit.
Yeah. So. The Corona is what they call a lifestyle product, which means they can charge people more for it and they'll still buy it.
I mean, you can get a 12-pack here. It's about $15.99.
It is. For that beer, that's quite expensive.
Yeah. Like a 30-pack here, you could get for $16.99. Like a Busch, anything like PBR is a little more expensive. I think it's like $18. But I mean, High Life, this Keystone, and all those other ones, you can get a 30 rack of Rolling Rock for $17.99.
Yeah.
I mean, out of all those, I still will go through Rolling. I like Rolling Rock more than pretty much all those. That's even an import lager. So.
Rolling Rock is made by Budweiser. It's one of their brands. They purchased it some years ago, so it's made wherever the Budweiser. If you look on your can underneath it, there's a code that tells you where it's brewed at.
Oh, okay. I haven't had that in a while either. So, but I mean, I would say Rolling Rock is probably like the best. I mean, for the price point.
Yeah, it's I drink Rolling Rock some, and Miller has a big brewery in Texas at Fort Worth.
Now, that's really close to me, actually.
Yeah.
That is probably 2 hours. About 2 hours. Too. Yeah. It's about 2 hours.
Yeah, they make a lot of seltzers at that plant too. Fort Worth. They're expanding it right now.
If you want to try a really good seltzer, the only one I like is the Four Loko one. It's black cherry.
I had one I like called Bon Vive.
I've never seen that.
I liked it. It was pretty good. The black cherry, it wasn't overly strong. It had a natural flavor to it. Yeah, it's one of the Budweiser products too, the Bon Vive. And then they have
I
the
haven't
small
looked for it.
one.
I haven't looked for it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
BONVIB.
Budweiser product, you should get it.
Yeah, you should, because their distribution is pretty much everywhere.
Usually,
So.
I know what I get, and I don't really dilly dag and like really look. I just know what I'm already gonna get. No,
I think I'm just the opposite. I'll stand there and look.
yeah.
Not sure. It's like when I got that 12 pack of Old Milwaukee, I had no idea buying the Old Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I was in
And
their
how much does
distributor.
that run you? About what, 10 or 11 bucks?
I got a 12 pack for $7.99.
Oh wow, there's nothing like that here.
But I saw the distributor putting it on the shelf, and I picked it up and I looked at the date on it. I said, this is really fresh, and I put it in the cart. I've just about drank it. I might go back and get another 12 pack of that.
I would too if the cat's that fresh.
I mean, it's just a go-to.
Yeah.
Some days you come in, you've been outside. I just want a regular beer.
Nothing too strong, nothing,
Yeah, just a regular beer. I don't want to sit and think about it too much. Just drink it. Refreshment. That's what these light lagers basically are. So I think there'll always be a time. I like craft beer.
You know, it's weird that I asked like all the people that we hang out with in my like little circle and stuff. They said on an average day they drink over a 12 pack. I'm like, is that normal for most people? Because I mean, 8 or 9 people, they drink more than a 12 pack a daily.
I couldn't do that myself.
No, I know. I mean, John, me, Drunken One, a lot of those people, I drink over a 12 pack every day. I mean, I can't do that either. But I mean, like about 3 times a week or 4 times a week because I work mornings now, so it's a lot harder now. But
well, I got a motorcycle too, so that doesn't go very well with heavy drinking.
Yeah.
So you got to have your senses with you.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about what we do on our panels and chill at home, and I mean, not when we have to do stuff. Like today, I've had 8 beers and 4 mixed drinks, like what I just told you, and I'm like perfectly fine. I mean, not in like 6-hour period.
Yeah, what that Jay Carrio does, he spaces out his drinking.
Yeah. He
has a schedule every day, and he doesn't deviate from it. It's like a job schedule. And if you space the beers out, it's you're not trying to get blitzed. Now, there's people that on Friday night.
I don't know how long you like stay online, but John gets pretty blitzed within 2 hours if you ever actually watch him.
Well, there's been some hangouts, some of the post chat where people get a little bit, not too much.
Well, it gets a little vulgar sometimes, at times, but we try to calm it down now because when you have 30 people that get the notifications, 30 people that are in the groups, I mean, each person gets that notification. It's not like just one person.
Yeah.
So if I send a message right now, say like in the chat, all 30 people are going to get it at 2:30 in the morning.
But Michael Komaroff and myself, we're big baseball fans. Sometimes we would chat late at night, and I said, maybe we're not.
Somewhat too, but not to the extent you guys are. I just like to mostly listen, But I just started the whole baseball team like 5 years ago. You're talking about stuff I'm way past me.
Yeah. That's one thing I can remember sports stuff pretty well. As you get older, though,
football, basketball, everything, or
I liked all sports. My job, I was a sports writer for most of my career.
That's awesome.
I was always around it.
Yeah.
It was something I grew up doing, and if I'd had the talent, most kids growing up would love to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And at a certain age, you realize, well, I'm not nearly as good enough for that. So,
as long as you can remember, like, information you hear and write it down, and like it's just like.
And I've gotten sort of like that with beer. I can remember stuff, but to me, that I enjoy it. When I drink these old beers, to know a little bit about the history, to me, that makes it more fun to drink.
I mean, I've had Old Milwaukee's twice that I've known, and it's pretty good. I mean, for the price point.
I mean, Old Milwaukee at one time, Will Ferrell, who was on Saturday Night Live, he did commercials for Old Milwaukee.
But the only ones I've ever seen are in 16-ounce cans. I've never seen 12.
I've never seen it in bottles here. The only thing we get for the 12
16-ounce can.
There's no singles here or 16 ounce. Just
no, they come in 6-packs. 6-pack, 16-ounce can.
Yeah.
I've seen. That's the only time I've ever seen them, except they're in a white can, just like the one that say "Old Milwaukee" on it.
But their cans have always looked similar. They'll tweak the design every now and then. The one I showed is going back 30, 40 years. It's
wow. Yeah.
Design. And but they've never deviated too far from what it is right now.
I mean, the change is still white.
I mean, a few years ago when Natty Ice redid theirs, they looked completely different.
Uh-huh.
And some other the Bush Ice, they redid theirs.
Yeah. No. I'm making another drink real quick, so you're going to hear a little echo. So what would you say your favorite beer is?
My favorite beer?
If you had to just pick, okay, how about this? If you had to pick 3 for the whole year, what would you pick? Make it easy on you.
One of my favorite beers I like is Oscar Blues, the Dale's Pale Ale.
Wow, I've heard of it. Bumpy's tried that before. I've seen it from Bumpy, but yeah.
A couple beers I really liked that have been discontinued was the Pabst Old Tanker beer.
Oh, can't get that. I've never heard of it.
One of the regular beers I like a lot is the Genesee Cream Ale.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
It's cheap, and I think it's really good.
If I gotta have to pick, I would probably go with something New Belgium. And the real good one, like I was talking about, is Golden Monkey from Victoria. That would be New Belgium, though. Have you heard of Pyramid brand?
Yeah, I've heard of those. Yeah.
I like the green one. I don't know what it's called, but it's from Pyramid. I don't know if you heard of Aztec beers. It's called Aztec.
Like Mexican Aztec? I don't think I've heard of that.
I mean, the name of the beer is Aztec. I don't know what brewery it is. I'm more like the name of it. I don't know. Like, I don't go through all the breweries and where it's from. And like, I guess if you know, you know. You like the Lou and Friegel line? Any of those?
What, the Leinenkugel?
Yeah, those. The only one I like is the Sunset Wheat. That's the only one I like. That I know that I like. Not a fan.
I don't have much experience with those stuff. I'd like to try their shandy while it's still summertime.
Yeah. Can you get it or?
Yeah, I can get that. And the Narragansett that I held up a few minutes ago, they have a shandy too.
Okay.
More summer type beer.
According to the Summertime's beer is something sweet like Smirnoff and all that other stuff. But that's not even considered a beer. It's more of a, what do you call it, line cooler?
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider that as beer.
A lot of times, though, it is considered beer for taxation government purposes, even though it's not really like that PBR came out with this hard coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's categorized as a beer by the government because it's taxed.
Yeah.
So, although it's not an actual beer in that sense, it is a beer, and they may put beer on the label for that reason, somewhere on the label.
Mm-hmm.
Because beer is taxed at a lower rate than spirit.
There you go.
So that's the reason they make these flavor malt beverages like the Four Locos, because they're cheaper to make than if they use actual spirits in them, like a vodka or something. It would be more expensive. They would be taxed at a higher rate.
What other things that you can get are just like Four Locos in the high 12s to 10%? Is there anything like that you can get?
They have one called a Blue Raz, I think.
I mean, like brands. I don't know if you heard of a brand called Tilt. And then they had Juice. I don't know if you heard of Juice.
I've seen Juice. I've seen Juice in a convenience store about a mile where I live. I ain't had the nerve to try it yet, but I was thinking about it.
I mean, they're like Four Locos, but I mean,
I know, yeah, they're probably brewed at the same place. Actually, if you look on the can.
Probably are. Honestly, they probably are.
They are. I can usually read the codes on them, and I found out that a lot of these things are made the same.
Yeah.
And there's one we get here called Club Tails.
Oh, wow.
Club Tails, they're cocktails too. They're 10% alcohol. Club Tails.
Well, that sounds pretty cool.
Let's see, that 10%. And there's also another one called, if you had any of the Mike's Hard, like the hard lemonades.
Those are in the high 8%, right?
They're about 8, yeah. Their Mike's Hard is at 8%.
No, that's about what you would want. Anything over that, like it's too sweet or.
Yeah, the 8% for me is sort of like a sweet spot. I can handle those. They're pretty drinkable. There's another called Sparks.
Oh, I definitely like Sparks, but they have what do you call it? Caffeine. A lot of caffeine.
No, the government has forced. They don't have that anymore.
Oh, okay.
But,
I mean, we're talking about 10, 12 years ago. They had a lot of caffeine.
And ginseng. They had a lot of stuff that would get you really amped up. And they finally made them remove all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit.
I think Spark was like probably the first one who did that.
Sparks is the same really as a Steel Reserve. I looked at those.
Mm-hmm. How much does Spark run you around there? Is it still about $2.79 or something around there?
The 16-ounce cans run about $1.69. The 24-ounce cans run about $2.69.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I had one recently. It was called the Natty Rush. It was Mountain Madness, which is their version of a Mountain Dew.
Is it good?
I thought it was pretty good.
And that's a 6 or 8%.
It was 8%, but definitely a little bit sweeter than some of the other ones. But it's still.
And how much sugar, I wonder, is in all those?
See, that's a lot of sugar, because if you look at the calorie count on those things, it's like drinking a milkshake.
Yeah.
We're loaded with calories. It's just
so what are those like a seltzer but like no sugar? Is there any like that?
They run like a light beer calorie wise, about the same as a light beer.
But is there a lot of sugar in them though?
Not really. No, there's much less. The flavor on those, like that Bon Vivant I had, was very refreshing but very mild. It just had a subtle black cherry flavor, but nothing. It didn't hit you without that sweetness like these heavier alcohols do.
Let's Google here. I'm gonna Google here. How much sugar does Four Loko have? Let's see here. Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that's impressive. 38 grams for 12-ounce serving.
Yeah, that's.
So that's 70 grams of sugar.
Yeah, they're loaded. You can drink those, and you can just see the sugar in your brain, the piles of it.
Yeah, I could drink 20, 30 beers and barely handle 3, 4 Locos, and I'm blacked out. So
those higher ones, yeah, you drink a few sips of those, you start to get the buzz. But this is not your problem. Alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, I could drink on a good day, like an all day drinking. I mean, I could drink like an 18 or 20 pack. I mean, you're talking about 8, 12 hours, and then you can only have three 24 ounces. They're like, whoa. Huh. I don't know. I mean, the natty, I like the natty daddy. Like, if you're gonna go with something trying to get drunk quick, those will get you there.
Yeah, the malt liquors at 8%. The ones like the Natty Daddy,
Earthquake,
the Gold Bull, the Ice House Edge, the Steel Reserve,
yeah,
Triple Export. Those are that.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of those. 3 or 4 of those.
They're just like an amped up adjunct lager beer, but
What about Mickey's? What's your preference on Mickey's?
I like Mickey's, the regular Mickey's, the green, little green
Mhm.
Renee bottles. I like
Yeah.
Mickey. I think it's very good. One of the best of best. 5.6%. It's not overly boozy. I think Mickey's is one of the best malt liquors that there is.
Have you tried something called Black Bear?
I hadn't had that.
Have you heard of it or?
I'm trying-
It's a malt liquor.
I'm thinking there used to be one called Big Cat. Some
No,
they don't
well,
make them
I never
anymore. But there's a lot of malt liquors, that we don't get in this area, just the main brands.
I mean, what about Colt 45? Do you get that?
Yeah, oh yeah. And they're high they have a high gravity too. There's an 8.5%.
Is it better than the other regular, or about just as good?
I would on a daily basis, I would rather have the regular.
Uh-huh.
For an occasional, if you're not going out that night, and you're going to stick around, I drink one of the higher gravity ones. But I think the regular one is pretty. It's 5.6 like the Mickey. To me, that's very sessionable and very drinkable. So I like.
What about
Colt.
Old English? What's your preference on Old English?
It's 5.9. I like Old English too.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was 8%. I thought Old English was 8%.
They have a regular one at 5.9. That's the standard.
Oh, okay.
I got a 12-pack of it. Probably not about 6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But their high gravity one is I think it comes in 42-ounce plastic bottles.
Yeah.
It's 8%.
Yeah. I get you there. 3 of those, they'll get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What time is it over there for you right now? It's 2:47 here.
1 hour later, Eastern time.
Oh, so it's already going to be 4 o'clock?
3:47 on my laptop.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be 4 o'clock. I mean, I don't have to go anywhere. I'm just asking.
Well, I need to get up. I never really finished my supper. I took a little nap.
Everyone started talking and everything. I got you.
That's fine. But I enjoyed
Yeah.
But
I mean, you should get live more often. I mean, I like the late night ones myself, but
I might do a few. I've had some health issues.
Yeah.
I had cancer last year.
Yeah, I heard all about the John came to see you and everything, and yeah.
And so I'm sort of still working my way back into it, but I'm feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I'd ever drink beer again because I lost my taste buds when I had chemo.
Yes, everything happens where it tastes like metal. I heard all about all that.
It was terrible. Even water was terrible.
Oh.
I lost so much weight that I was kept alive by IVs.
Yeah.
Without the IVs, I wouldn't be around today.
Wow.
But once I got done with the chemo, there was like a certain. All of a sudden, I took a bite of something. I said, "My taste buds are back."
Now I can drink. Yeah. Like for your health issues now, can you actually drink like once or twice a week, or is it like you can drink?
In moderation, I can drink something every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so what's your moderation? Like 3 beers a day, something like that.
2 to 3 beers a day.
I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, you don't want to overdo it. Yeah.
Yeah. Rarely over 3. And if it was 24 ounces, it wouldn't be 3. It would be more like 2. But even when I took chemo, my doctor said I could drink a beer now and then, but it was a moot point because I couldn't taste it, so I didn't have any desire.
It wasn't worth it. Yeah, it wouldn't be worth spending money on it.
I was wondering, because some people never get their taste buds back.
Yeah.
But they have to eat because to stay alive. But it's like going through the motions.
I mean, some things like Cheetos, and I heard that Cheetos you could taste, and Jello is pretty much all you could
taste anything really.
Yeah.
I was going through it. Everything was terrible.
So like you could have 2 of those 8%ers, and that's pretty much your day, or what?
But I was so thankful that when my taste buds came back.
That is awesome.
And then I could drink whiskey and say, "Boy, this where you just sip it and sort of."
What was your first bottle when you could taste again?
Let's see. I had a few beers left over. I didn't drink. I had left over from before the chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what. I think it was actually a Colt 45.
Oh wow.
I believe.
Yeah.
And it tastes like a beer. It tastes
There
like
you
I
go.
remember it to be before.
Yeah.
And so that was a big stepping stone for me because
What about your first shot of whiskey? What was that?
I think it was the J.W. Dan, bottled in bond. J.W. Dan is one of the Heaven Hill brands, which is
Oh,
available
okay.
only in certain states.
I don't think I could get that. But
J.W.
they have
Dan,
Evan Hill. Yeah, they have that here.
very similar to the bottled in bond Evan Williams.
Yeah.
But I said, well, this is good. I like the burn.
Yeah.
And 100 proof gives you a pretty good burn through the nostrils and through the throat. So I said, this is pretty good. But it had a lot of flavor to it. So
Yeah, my new favorite thing is right now that I'm drinking is Screwball. I don't know if you heard or tried it.
I've had the Screwball, but only in the little airplane bottles.
Yeah, it's really good. The peanut butter one's the best, and then now
I think that would be good with a Dr. Pepper.
It would be.
Fireball.
I never tried it though, but I just drink it on ice.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna pay $55 for a bottle, I'm sipping on ice.
Yeah.
It's $55 for the 1.75, the big one.
That's about 60 ounces, I believe. I'm talking about a 2-liter bottle of Coke.
Yeah, it probably is.
I think it's right at, because I figured out one time the metric system.
Well, that's the biggest bottle you can get.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's about 60 ounces, so that's pretty good.
It's for $55. You can't go wrong, and I like the peanut butter flavor, and it has that burn too. You said you tried it, so.
I want the Screwball. There's some peanut butter ones on my list. I want to try that. I haven't tried any.
Well, I mean, I would go with the airplane bottles if you don't like it. It's pretty peanut buttery, but it has that back taste to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't buy the biggest bottle if you don't.
Yeah. I'll get one of the little ones, or either if they got like 100 or 200. We got some here.
I think they have the pint glasses, the ones behind the clerk.
Yeah, behind the counter.
I think they're about $12 or $14, something like that.
100 milliliters, 200
I don't know how
milliliters.
big they are. I think it's a pint.
They actually don't make a pint anymore, but it's actually less than a pint. But
okay, well,
I wish it was still a pint. But
Yeah.
they went to the metric system, so I think people still think of it as a pint, but it's not a pint.
You know, when you go there and get a pint of beer, it's not even 16 ounces. It'll fill up a 12-ounce glass. Like, I bought a bottle and did that. Like, it fills it up to the top. And you go to the bar and ask for a pint glass. Like a 12-ounce pour is pretty much all the way up to the top.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They just make the glass wider and make it look bigger. Narrower, but wider. I know, but I mean...
I've got a Coast glass that's really tall and skinny. It's almost like a giant shot glass. I got it.
Yeah.
I get my beer glasses at like the Salvation Army or Goodwill, where they're really cheap.
Oh yeah, those are good.
And that Coast glass is a funny looking thing. It's almost like a little stovepipe.
Like a flute, kind of like a flute.
It's got a Coast written on it. It's Coast.
No, that's cool.
But something that thin should really keep the carbonation going really active.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's designed to be. Like the Kolsch is sort of a German, like American adjunct lager in a sense.
Yeah.
A light, refreshing beer. It's not going to weight you down, and you can drink it.
So, what is your favorite Kolsch beer? I probably can't get it, but I mean.
Yeah, it's one of the. It's a local one.
Uh-huh.
It's I haven't tried anything really on like a national brand for that.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of these brand people will never get the beer.
Can you get Southern Star?
I hadn't heard of that one.
Have you heard of the Bombshell Blonde?
Let's see, Bombshell.
It's in a blue can.
Do you know the brewery?
Southern Star. I guess you said that you didn't know.
I don't think so. But there's so many. I mean, we got a Total Wine here where they sell. They got.
Oh yeah, there's places where they have hundreds of beers.
Yeah, I mean, I go in there and I say that I could never try all these in my lifetime. Really.
Yeah.
So
John says that he's gonna make his thing. He said he's gonna at least try 20% of every beer in the store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he tries at least 5 a week. I mean, you really can't. I mean, you can't make a dent because they make 10 new ones every other week. So it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I go in. I'm sort of like the deer in the headlights. Deer in the headlights. I see so much of that stuff. I like to try all of this stuff. You know, there may be something I've never had that might be my favorite beer ever. It's one of those things you never know.
See, like Bumpy's tried the same thing. Like he'll never buy the same beer twice. I mean, unless it's like buying a cutter beer, what you like in between.
Yeah, some people think it's not world class. I'm gonna move on to something else because I'm not gonna waste my time on something when something else might be better out there.
I mean, if you're gonna go the more expensive beers, I mean, you're gonna go up and up in price. I mean, what is your price point where you're gonna stop? I mean,
yeah, but I usually keep something relatively cheap to have as a go-to every day.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna pay for 4 beers, $20. I mean, better be worth it. I mean,
and many times people are disappointed because they read the description.
Yeah.
And people are paid to make it sound like it's good. And then they're
like Buffy like buys $16, $17 for a 4-pack, and then it says it's just okay. It's about average. I mean,
yeah,
you could buy almost 2 6-packs or something for that.
Right. Their job is to make it sound as good as possible.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have really high expectations, many times you get sort of disappointed.
Yeah, if you buy 4 4-packs, and that's almost $80 right there. I mean, that's 12 beers. Yeah, that's only 12 beers, and you're spending like $80 on.
And I would rather be surprised by something that's less expensive and say, "Well, this is really good." The whole thing is it punches above its weight. It's better than what you think it is. And
I mean, usually I go with just the regular domestic beers. I mean, or some imports are okay, but I mean, you got to go with something new. You get maybe 2 6-packs of something new, and then go with like a 12-pack of domestic beer. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't get tired of regular beers myself. Some people, you know, they don't like them. But like I said, for everyday drinking, I'm perfectly satisfied with some of these, like a Narragansett or Old Milwaukee, some of these brands.
Now, PBR, do you still get PBR often? Or?
Yeah, I like PBR. I voted for it every week in that tournament.
Yeah, PBR is.
And so that's pretty much says how much I respect. I like hams too.
I can't get hams. Well, I have never even seen hams here.
Hams is one of the better ones.
Is it nationwide or is it? Because I have never seen it, but I haven't really looked either. But I have never personally seen it. I would have seen it.
I've actually had some that was brewed down in Texas.
Well, I live in Austin. I mean, it's
so our 24-pack here at the supermarket, and I looked on that. I said, "That's Austin, Texas." I mean, excuse me, Fort Worth.
Uh-huh.
Where most of the stuff here comes from closer breweries, but like there's one in Georgia. Most of the Miller stuff we get here comes from Georgia.
How far is Georgia from you?
Pardon?
How far is Georgia from you? Isn't it like a couple hours?
Yeah, it depends on Georgia. You know, from here to Atlanta would be probably 250 miles.
Oh, that's not bad.
I don't know if you've ever done a hangout with John Anile.
Yeah, I know where he lives in Georgia.
And he visited me last year after I got through with my king.
Yeah, I know. I hang out with him pretty much daily. I mean,
he's one of my best friends on line. Period.
Yeah, I mean, just try to get more involved. I do a panel like every single day. I mean, if you can, you know.
Do you have a panel?
They do a panel like every single day.
Yeah. And
they hang out pretty much, I don't know. Well, I mean, Drunken will pretty much hang out till the cows come out. Are you either going to pass out in his chair or not? I mean,
But that was a lot of fun. We drank beer right where I'm sitting right now in the den.
That's awesome.
We drank a Red Dog, actually. He never had Red Dog before. And he did a little
Red
video.
Dog is very rare. That's why when I saw it, it was a mistake, and I was like, "Shit, I'm gonna get all they have."
And then
they only had eight. They had eight six packs, and I bought them all.
And I gave him some stuff that he couldn't get. I rounded up, and he brought me some beers too. And the next day we took a brewery tour.
I heard didn't he go like shopping and bought like a whole lot of beer?
Yeah, he bought a lot of beer, and turned around and gave me some of it back. So.
No, I mean, yeah. You said that he bought I think you said he bought a whole trunk full.
At Lidl, he bought a bunch at Lidl, which is a supermarket here chain.
Yeah, like he bought stuff he'll never get. So.
And the good thing was that most of it he liked a lot. He reviewed most of them on his own channel, and
yeah.
And some of the stuff was really good. I mean, he got some stuff, some imperial stouts, really cheap, like 10%.
He said a lot of those 14% he couldn't get. And
yeah, each state has a cap on what you can sell.
Over here, it's 15%.
There's 50 states and there's 50 laws. States of 50 cents.
Yeah. Do you know what your law is? What is the highest ABV you can sell? Over here is 15%.
It's 15 here.
So what about how do you got to get a 30% beer then? So that's illegal all around the world?
I can't get it here.
I can't get it here. I mean, they have some beers that are going to high 30s.
I don't really have much desire to get something like that.
I mean, want one just to try it once. I would just want to try it once, you know?
Yeah, I guess out of curiosity, it would be one of those things. I probably would try about anything once.
Just to try it once. Never try it again. I mean, around 14 to 12% is around my cutoff point. I mean.
But before I got ill, I would take road trips, and it was just basically to get alcohol. So I would sort of plan out where I could get certain things at.
There you go.
And so if I knew there was a place I could have a 30% beer, if it wasn't out of the way very much, I might try to seek that out. Try to get as much as you could in one haul. And I brought back some pretty good hauls. I had a lot of beer in the trunk.
Yeah, when you get a whole trunk full, then you know you did well.
I know when you're starting out with a 30-pack, just to start with, I got 30-pack of Red Dog.
Yeah.
And I got another one, Coors Extra Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I got some of that, which wasn't available here.
I mean, a 30-pack, if you only drink 3 beers a day, that would last you like
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days.
Basically a week and a half. So that's.
And I mean, what did you say? A 30-pack runs you around $14, you said?
This was a little more expensive in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
this
like $18?
$19.99. Which
Still, that's not bad.
Red Dog tends to run a little bit more expensive.
Oh, yeah, I would say so. The 6-pack was $7.99 when they had it last year. It was for a 6-pack of 16-ounce cans of $7.99.
But I found out in Pennsylvania you can't get beer in a Walmart. They just sell it in warehouses.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't even find it in some convenience stores.
Yeah.
But they sure got it.
Yeah, Trader Joe's.
Yeah, we got Trader Joe's. Yeah.
Is it their beer? They're good. The name brands from Trader Joe's are actually worth a damn, or
they tend to be pretty good because they're made by they're contract brewed by some of the people that you would know. You know, same people that brew the name brand beer.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, actually, they had a beers at Walmart called Rockdale.
I have never heard of it, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. We did some hangouts. I've had a Rockdale Ice.
There you go. You want to get what you want to do is get beer that no one's ever seen before and show them, look what I got, you know?
That's sort of fun. That's what I had that Rockdale. I posted on there and said, where the hell did you find that?
Yeah, when you show up with a Red Dog in hand, they're gonna be like, "Oh, damn," you know.
Well, when I got that Natty Daddy Lemonade, I posted that. I've been the only one in that beer group that's been able to get it so far.
Pretty sure. I have not seen it, so I can't tell you. But I have not looked for it either. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I wasn't looking for it. I just saw it. I was out on my motorcycle. I gassed up, and whenever I stop, I always go inside and browse and see what they got in the beer cooler.
You always get at least get a couple. You always should
Yeah,
always
I did,
stop.
and I said, it's black and yellow. I said, that's Natty Daddy. I filled it lemonade. All right, I'll try it. 24-ounce can, what, $1.79. So I said, well, heck, I'll get a
For a
couple
20-ounce can, you said?
25-ounce can.
Oh, wow, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. I bought a couple
My
of
Natty Daddy runs about that, so yeah, it's just.
So I got 2 cans with tax was less than $4. And I put them in my backpack, and a lot of times that's what I do when I'm out riding. I'll just stop randomly at a few places, just go in and check and see what their beer collection is like.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll be surprised what you might find. I got that Natty Rush, that Mountain Madness out in the country. Some little store out in the middle of nowhere.
And they're about the same 179 or
It was $1.49.
Oh wow, that's even cheaper.
For 20. And I said I wouldn't expect to find it at a little country store, like these flavored malt beverages. But anyway, I picked one up. I said I may never see this again. So I
You probably won't. You probably go back there and it'll be all gone.
It will be gone. I found that out.
I went back to go get some more Red Dog, and they were all gone. And then never probably will ever have them again.
I've made that mistake. If I see something, I got a hint that it might not be there again. I said this might be my only chance because first of all, it's probably not selling very well. The reason they got so much of it. So once this is gone, they won't replace it.
They'll never have it again. And then they'll put it as a discount and they'll get rid of it.
Or either just pull it completely. I have that where they just pull it completely.
Yeah. Well, I have to hate this to do this. It's already 3:00 here. I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, you did your 3 hours today. That's a long time for a live.
Yeah, I don't normally do this, but like I said, it's weekend. I'm a night person anyway because my job is a sports writer, so
yeah.
I work nights.
So what is your day now? You gotta eat dinner and drink a beer and go to bed, or what?
Pretty much, or eat a meal, finish my meal, and then the time I went to bed, it was about daylight.
Yeah, well, so, 4 for you, 3 for me. So yeah, I'll see you soon. You're in the group.
I'm glad you hopped on here tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure that you were live and my girls.
I am too.
Yeah, I don't know if you're in the groups. You're in the groups, aren't you? The hangout groups.
Right now, I've been doing the bumpy Monday night thing, the multi Monday, and that's really the only one I've been doing on a regular basis.
Okay.
So before I got sick, I was doing some with John and Ely. We did some reviews together, just like dual reviews. Actually, I did the first review. The first review he ever done was Rolling Rock.
Yeah.
And we done that.
I love Rolling Rock.
and I used to do some of the Jay Terrio things on Wednesday night.
What you need to do now, get the first person to get the Bush Apple now.
It's not available in North Carolina yet.
Oh, okay.
I asked the distributor the day the guy was putting out the Miller High, the over Milwaukee. They also had a Budweiser distributor that was doing the same thing, and I asked him. He said it's a test market right now, but if it's popular, it will probably come to the other states. So it's just a matter of just being.
I'm not gonna buy a 30-pack just to try it.
I'm not going to Virginia either to get it. I can get it in Virginia, but
how far is that?
To me, that would be about an hour.
The question is it worth it?
It would be if I could get a 6-pack. I don't want any more.
I don't know if they come in 6-packs. The only thing I've ever seen is a 30.
It does come in 6-pack.
Okay.
I think I saw somebody on YouTube had a 6-pack maybe.
Okay, then it might be worth it. Because I've only seen a 30-packs for a couple videos. I
might even go 12-pack because they're light. It wouldn't take you long to drink them all. It's a
12-pack would be maybe an 18 would be probably the. I don't know.
12-pack for me because it's so light. It wouldn't take long to drink them up.
They're what, 4.2?
Bush Light. Although with the apple, it does add some calories. I think they said it's up to 130 calories, which is quite a bit.
Is it like a 4.2 though, or
I believe so. Yeah, 4.1 or 4.2 for that one.
Yeah, that would be a 12-pack will last you 3 days, 4 days.
Right. Yeah. If you didn't like it.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna cut this short, but I gotta go. All right, thanks, bro.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you later then.